Hazleton City Council regular meeting will come to order on Tuesday, January 28th, 2014. It's now 7:05 p.m. Please rise for a moment of silent meditation. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Bast.
Here.
Cassatt.
Here.
Mope. Here. Sosar.
Here.
Mundy.
Here. Approving the minutes of the previous meeting, January 6, 2014, and January 14, 2014. Regular meetings, January 16, 2014, work session. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed. Proclamations, communications, none. Courtesy of the floor regarding matters on our agenda only. Go ahead.
Judy Urto, Hazleton. I have two things I want to talk about. Number one is the budget. Let's make sure when we're doing this budget, we are using the money we know we have coming in, not like getting caught last year, Mr. Mayor, at the end of the year where you're threatening jobs, as our city workers were. And thank you for gracing us with your presence today. I mean, the budget should be what we have coming into the city, what we know we have coming into city. We don't need to get strapped with something else. The second thing I have to comment on is the Learjet. Hazleton has enough problems the way it is with we're trying to find money for certain things that we have to take on the expense of a Learjet, and you're going to say, oh, well, no, they're giving it to us. There's still going to be taxes. There's still going to be maintenance on that plane. There's still going to be fuel, upkeep. There's still going to be some kind of insurance that we're going to have. So to say that we need a Learjet, just because somebody wants something doesn't mean we need it. Mr. Mayor, our country is in turmoil because we have people trying to get money to just pay for their oil right now and heat their homes. Just because you want something doesn't mean we need it. That's why we're in the crisis that we're in. We don't need a Learjet. And I don't care, if you're saying it's going to be a tourist attraction or whatever, it's not going to bring any money into the city to justify what we're going to have to put out. And it's the taxpayers that are going to have to put out. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Dee Deacus, Hazleton. I want to congratulate that they put on the agenda about McKinley Street. It was about time that we're taking some action on it. The other thing I want to ask about is the Learjet. Is that supposed to go into one of the hangars that we're supposed to be buying, or is it going to sit outside all the time?
I think they had talked about putting it on display and using it for education and teaching as a primary purpose, but we're still gathering some information. I know it's on the agenda tonight, and we're probably going to table it for the next meeting, but I don't think it's going to be in any of their hangars.
Okay, are we supposed to keep it in working order, or will it just sit?
There's questions on that too. The woman I talked to from, I don't know if she was from the GSA, she said that you have to adhere to the primary purpose that you're using it for. And if you're going to fly it, then you have to maintain it. If you're going to use it as a display and for education, then it doesn't have to be ready to fly.
Are we going to fly it?
I don't know. We're still talking about it. But like I said, I just got it not too long ago. We're still gathering information to make a decision on it.
Okay, then I hope you table it like you said.
I think we might.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Anyone else?
John Keegan, 105 Ferrera Avenue, Hazleton, PA.
Number one, because I was a former pilot, you would have to be typed in that plane to fly it. Just not anybody could get in a cockpit and take off. So I don't think there's anyone presently on the city payroll that's capable of getting in the cockpit of that jet and running it down the runway, just even for a joyride. But anyway, the reason I came up here is I want to direct about Resolution 2014-27. Judy made a very important point. Just because you want something doesn't mean you get it. As I read the third-class city code, the solicitor is the only one who could pronounce on matters of the law in the city. It doesn't provide for a legal advisor to give opinions that are worth any weight for the city. But what's intriguing about the firm that's chosen is why I'm here. After hearing a story about the solicitorship out at the Greater Hazleton Joint Sewer Authority, I related to one of my board members. And my board member told me that Attorney Skakowski had approached him and solicited his vote to switch solicitors at the HCA to bring back former attorney Peter O'Donnell. And since there's been accusations in this chamber of friends and family, it seems suspicious that this firm, who also backed your running mates at political conventions, now all of a sudden becomes the firm chosen here. I just want that for the record that this firm did try to solicit a vote up at the HCA. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? We'll move on. Old business, ordinances none, resolutions none. New business, ordinance, an ordinance providing for the appropriations of specific amounts estimated as required at the various departments of the city of Hazleton. This is the budget ordinance. Do I have a, will someone present?
I'll present.
Second.
Jeff seconds. On the question? Okay, if nobody has any questions for the budget, I have some amendments to the budget. I'm gonna do maybe 4 or 5 of them together. Chris, do we have to vote on, could we vote on 4 or 5 of them together and then one separate?
Sure.
We could do that?
Yeah.
Okay. The first one, the adjustment to, we're going to move the sewer transmission fund, which is 461, which we've talked to our auditor and the solicitor who's saying it's okay. We're going to move that into the real estate fund. We're going to move 361 of that into the real estate fund, and 100,000 of it's been going to the streets to hopefully do some paving and get our streets in order. And street cleaning, yeah, that's, we're going to do that first. We're going to also use some of our unencumbered funds. We're going to put that into the budget and put a line item there. We're not going to use it all, though. We're going to use 252 to bring that into the budget, into the real estate fund. With that would eliminate any tax increase that the mayor's proposing, and hopefully this will pass. The other things we're going to do is we're going to take out the parking out of the budget, which would leave a net savings of approximately $80,000. I know it's the parking authority is still going, and it's been said that maybe in April we may get it, whatever it is, whenever it gets straightened out. But we're taking the parking out of the budget completely. The other amendments we're going to make is the engineer. We're going to take from the airport. We have a budget as 20,000. We're going to take that down to 10, and there's 50 in the engineering department. We're going to take that down to 40, and that takes out 20,000. We're also going to.
Do you have a copy of this for me?
I could write it down for you. Steve will give us the numbers later as far as the savings, but the other thing is we're going to add a controller to the line item under council, 400-5315 for $35,000. Is that 1, 2, 3, 4?
They say controller.
Yeah, we're adding a controller. We're allowed to do that, Mayor. Oh, and the legal advisor, we're going to add that section to council professional services for $32,500, and we're also going to deduct $32,500 from our solicitor. That line item is going to be reduced.
We're adding it as legal advice.
Yeah, legal advisor to council. Okay, those are the 4 amendments, and I just have one other one after we vote on these.
Okay, so to get this right, 361,000 is coming out of sewer and going into real estate fund.
Right.
$100,000 is coming out of sewer
And going into the streets, right.
and streets. So you took parking out of the budget, which is 80,000.
That's an 80,000 plus to us. That was
Yeah,
is costing us.
you're taking it out, is what I'm saying. So it's
Yeah,
minus
it's not
80,000.
part of the budget.
Engineer 20,000.
We're reducing the
from
engineer,
40.
yeah.
And engineer was it from 50 to 40? Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
in the engineering department and from the airport from 20 to 10.
Yeah, and engineer from the city from 50 to 40.
Yeah.
And you're adding a controller in for 35.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the thing with the solicitor, when you deduct that money, because he's on contract, it doesn't matter if he goes over that or not. Because if he has to do work, he bills for that. So you're deducting that 32.5, and as far as it goes now, and obviously this is the first time I'm seeing this, so. What page is the solicitor on?
He's on page 7. Professional services at the bottom.
Okay, so services, city solicitor, you're taking from 65,000, which last year was 80,000, down to 32.5.
Right.
And you're going to say he's only going to get paid 32.5 for this year?
That's all we're budgeting. We'll see what happens the whole year. We're hoping we could
So
tighten our belts.
that's like fairy tale numbers
Well,
right there
we
on
could-
that one.
We can only hope.
May I say something?
I mean,
Yeah.
just if he comes to the meetings, you're paying him just as that's what Charlie will get from coming to meetings.
We want to put something in that if it goes close to the 5% mark of the line item, that we're notified by Steve Hahn, and then we're ahead of time knowing if we have to increase the line item, all right? So then we'll
But
take a
still-
vote to increase the line item.
And where's the money going to come from?
Well, we have it.
Well,
We have unencumbered funds.
Can we vote on the first 4 and split the controller and legal advisor off?
okay,
That's because you said
I'm-
5 of them.
we could do that. That's fine. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one.
Go ahead.
You're eliminating the parking authority?
We're not putting it in the budget at this time.
What numbers did you take out?
We took out the whole parking authority.
What numbers are
The revenues and expenses, we took out everything.
they? What
You leave the
numbers
30,
are
the
there?
30.
Well, we're leaving the 30,000 that we normally got.
And what are you taking out?
Everything. We're taking out the income and expenses. The
The
parking
employees.
authority,
To have numbers. Give me numbers. What numbers are you taking
we're
out?
taking out all the numbers from the parking, the revenue and the expenses,
numbers.
everything. Well, Steve will do that
No,
when
give
we,
me the
when we,
numbers. You
when
have
we
to do
come.
it tonight. You can't amend it without the numbers.
We don't need the numbers. We don't need the numbers because we're amending this budget and it's going to be amended again. It could be amended a couple times.
You're
This
changing
could
a
be
number in
amended
my
all the way up to
budget.
February 15th.
Jack,
We're going to amend it up to February 15th.
did you hear what I said?
Jack, do you want the numbers?
Yeah,
I
go
need
ahead,
the
go ahead.
numbers
You
now.
give me- Jeff will give you the
I got
numbers.
them.
Jeff will give you the numbers. Go ahead.
On the line item 402, 5100, we want to reduce that to 151,000 $578.09. Line item 5190, reduce that to $9,817.73.
How much?
What was that again?
How much?
$9,813.73. Line item 5191, reduce it to $2,295, 15 cents. Line item 9195 to $1,286.25. Line item 5210 to $522.34.
What? I didn't get all that. I didn't.
Line item 410-5100, reduce that to $173,311. Line item 410-5190 to $11,620. Line item 5191, $2,718. 5192 to $586,303. Line item 5194 to $1,715. Line item 5195 to $5,880.01. Department, line item 430-5100, reduce that to $532,904. 5190 to $35,829. Line item 5191 to $8,379. Line item.
What was that again for 5191?
$8,379. Line item 5192, $140,480. Line item 5194, $5,574. 5195, $51,316. Line item 5361 to 0. Line item 5373 to 3,000. I think that could be it.
Can you repeat the first one? Just the first one you said. I didn't get that.
That 402.
I gotta read through it.
Section
Find what I did.
402.
Special tax permits.
It's the one before 5190. The one before 5190 that was 981373. So whichever one was before
98,
that.
okay. $151,578.09.
Okay. What number was it total? Like overall the?
It's Department 402-5100.
And again the number 151.
51,578.09. And then the line item 363-3210, the revenue, take it down to 30,000, which is our contract, the ordinance number. And I believe that's all for the parking.
I didn't get all those other numbers, did you?
You need any more numbers, Mayor, or is that you satisfied? Or what do you want? Thanks, Jeff. Great job.
Do you have a list of those? I didn't get all those in 402.
Yeah, I have them for you, Steve.
All right, thanks.
Well, that changes the budget
Yeah, it does change the budget.
amount.
No, we're not, we're not changing the total budget amount.
What is the budget amount?
Well,
You leave
we're-
it at 9 million?
Well, we're adding revenue to the budget.
Reduced a lot of items.
Well,
We reduced the revenue also.
we reduced the revenue also. We're reducing the revenue.
The budget.
But when you take out both of them, what does it save, Jeff? 80,
It should be about 70 to 80,000 with,
When was this all decided?
what does that matter?
Matters.
What does that matter?
It matters.
What does that matter? Well,
Sunshine law matters.
okay, you show up to a meeting when you feel like it.
When was that decided?
What other question do you have?
I'm not covered by the sunshine.
What other question do you have?
You guys are going to vote on
What
it.
other question do you have?
You deliberated.
What other question do you have?
Point of order, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman.
what other question do
Point
you
of
have?
order, we have the decisions by the council can be made individually, and one person can call another individual, and
Was that, and you
things
sort of deliberated?
things can be
Is
discussed.
that
And
deliberating?
that is deliberation, but you are not breaking any sunshine laws when one council member speaks to another council member. Now,
You
as
did.
far as the point of order,
This whole-
I'm sorry,
the whole
but I
first
think you're out of order right now, because
Okay,
right
okay.
now, it's council's meeting, and you've had a right to
Transparency, where
speak.
was
Now
that?
it's our turn to start making
Okay,
decisions.
okay.
You guys just get on your phone and you decide what should be done.
Okay,
and then walk
you have
out
any
here
other
and vote.
questions, Mayor?
Pardon?
You have any other questions?
Yeah, I have a lot of
Go
questions.
ahead, shoot.
You didn't answer the first one. Where did you decide these amendments?
Where did we decide?
Where?
We made
Yeah,
suggestions.
Where?
We
I
made
brought my
suggestions.
budget to a public meeting.
Okay.
And we went through that budget before we presented it to you, and that's the process.
Okay,
Your process is to go in the back, whatever restaurant you go to, and decide on what you're gonna do, and then come to a public meeting and vote. You're wrong.
Excuse me, Mr.
Okay,
Mayor,
good.
I just
Okay.
wrote these numbers down now. I just wrote them down now.
okay, go ahead. Charlie, you want to say something?
Mayor, they were all here to receive the budget, and they made their decisions in their own heads. I mean, they're going to be working
Please,
it out
Charlie,
here during this
Charlie,
meeting.
please don't tell me that.
I'm just,
I'm here
that's
too
what's
long.
going on.
I'm here too long for you to tell me that. That they actually just sat down and came to the same conclusion. Don't give me that.
How do you know we came to a conclusion? Excuse me.
We didn't vote on it yet.
I
Wait till
don't-
we vote on it, then you can decide that.
No,
I'm
you-
writing
you
these numbers
presented
like
something
Keith
that
is.
was deliberated outside.
Okay,
Now,
we're gonna-
gonna
when we vote on
something
it, you
that
could decide.
The public didn't get to participate.
The public's going to get a chance.
Our review. No, they're not.
Okay, you have any other questions?
Done wrong.
You have any other questions? Okay,
Chris-
we're going
Chris.
to,
Call for question.
we're,
Chris, I have some questions. With the money from the sword fund that they're putting into the real estate and the streets, I was under my impression that it can only be used for what it was originally designed for the sewer. And that would be to pay off the debt. Is that the case? Or can it get put anywhere?
I have from.
Bobby Moore stated that we could, the auditor said we could use that for anything. And once the debt's,
I did ultimately defer to the auditor, and if the auditor signs off on
the
it,
auditor's signing off on it.
I haven't seen that from him, but I'll take your word on it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have the email somewhere.
yeah, the auditor's signing off on it.
The
Said we
last
could
I
do
heard
that.
from the auditor said it was only able to go to debt.
Yeah.
No, wait.
Okay.
And also,
Go ahead.
let's see. No, I said my piece about the legal advisors. It's,
Any other questions?
what are you proposing that we do with the controller? As far as putting line items in the budget, since this is an amendment to the budget, can we actually put in line items?
No.
Yes, we could.
Chris? Can we put in line items for controller and legal advisor?
No.
Line items were
That's
already
not
there.
it's not specifically provided for in the code. It isn't.
And when it's not provided for in the code, Chris, please explain to me why Miller's theory does not come into play, that wherever the government of the state of Pennsylvania, usually it's in the third-class city code, you can only do what the state does allow. But when you have joined an option plan, you now are under Miller's theory, which says that you can do everything except what the state prohibits. Am I right?
I don't know that I didn't necessarily agree with that, Dr. Sosar. I'd have to research, if you want me to research and provide you an opinion, I can do that. But the question I was asked is, can you do this? Looking at the code, it doesn't specifically provide for that ability. If you'd like me to render an opinion, I can do that.
Chris, we already had a controller at one time, Mr.
I'm
Gallagher.
not talking about the controller.
Pardon me?
I wasn't asked about the
The
controller.
legal advisor? For both of them, so they can do the controller?
The controller, the
Controller
city had a
has
controller.
been around.
Yeah, they had a controller.
We also had a
I'm not questioning,
Mr. Gallagher was the first controller into the new form of government. The council appointed him. Remember? Remember that, Joe?
It wasn't during my term.
But it was during the term of government. They appointed a controller.
Yeah, he didn't do anything.
And we, like I said, we
Okay.
already
But
had a
let
legal
me say
advisor.
this. If I have to submit a budget in the form you provide, by stating that, that means the line items have to be in. You can't change that form once I submit the budget.
This is an amended budget.
Amended
That's
budget.
in the third class and the optional plan.
This is an amended budget.
Amended budget.
And I specifically asked if that was the form you wanted, but no member of council responded. So that form stays. You can't.
Is there a line item for controller in this budget?
Can't add line items.
You know, if I can interject.
Go ahead, Charlie.
The council has the right to appoint a legal advisor and to appoint a controller.
That's in the
To
code.
say that the mayor would have to have a line item in there, that would be the mayor's power taking over the legislation.
Yeah, it would be say we couldn't have one.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
because you have the power to appoint those
I-
things, I have to
I-
believe,
yeah.
because it's not specifically
I agree with
prohibited,
you,
that you
Charlie.
can create a line.
I agree with you, Charlie. Yeah, okay, go ahead. What else do you have?
Is there a controller in this budget? Is there a line item for it?
It
No,
looks,
but the line item existed.
are you talking about in the council department 400 expenditures, there is a line item 5311 that's called accounting and auditing services. Is that where
It's
that's
going to be under there then, yeah. It'll
that
be
where
under
that's
accounting and
going?
auditing. Yeah, we'll put it under there.
And
okay?
then there's this under 5314. Is that,
5314 is special legal services. We want the money separated for the council advisor so we know exactly what's being spent. That's why it's going under council. But 5314 exists in our budget. And that is the number that was given under 400 for council advisor, under council's department 400. It's been there before.
Okay, any other questions? We're going to vote on the first three, the first four, the sewer unencumbered, the engineer, and the parking, right? Is that right? Okay, roll call?
This isn't voting on the legal advisor, correct?
No, this is the four
Up to
amendments
the
that I
controller?
said. The sewer, yeah,
Okay.
we're going to vote on the controller and the legal advisor separate.
Oh, okay, all right,
Okay?
yep.
Those
Thank
four
you.
amendments. Roll call?
Oh, do we have a second?
I second. No, I'm sorry. Ms. Mope
Okay,
seconded that.
thank you.
Roll call.
Bast,
No.
Cassatt,
Yes.
Mope,
Yes.
Sosar,
Yes.
Mundy.
Yes. The next, we'll vote on the controller.
And I'll present.
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Bast,
No.
Cassatt,
No.
Mope,
Yes.
Sosar,
Yes.
Mundy.
Yes. Next, we'll vote on the legal advisor.
That failed.
Well, we'll discuss that later. Next on the legal advisor,
Now, it failed.
it's 3-2. We'll move on. You could,
Plus one to increase the budget.
we're not increasing the budget. Charlie, tell them we're not increasing the
And
budget.
line item.
We're not increasing the budget aggregate.
Point of order again. We're talking about a
Okay,
council
okay.
meeting
Go
here.
ahead.
Increase.
Okay.
Talking about a
Okay,
council
go
meeting.
ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Let's go on to our business.
Okay, we're going on. Legal advisor.
I present.
Second.
On the question?
On the question, the legal advisor is not required or approved by the third-class city code or the optional plan. It was put in by a ordinance by a council back in 1996.
Okay,
Okay,
Administrative code.
Okay.
Not into the third-class city code.
okay.
That ordinance is invalid.
okay, when it comes to legal advisor, I asked Chris to write an opinion for me. And here,
Okay, that's all
I'll
right.
give it to you.
Okay,
I actually come prepared with at least to give you guys something. Here you go. And states an analysis of the question presented by me. He reviewed with third-class city code and home rule and optional plan laws. Basically, that the city solicitor shall have the superintendent's direction and control of law matters of the city. And council may at its discretion retain special counsel for particular proceedings or matters of the city and fix the compensation by resolution. The council of each city may appoint one or more assistant city solicitors whose term or office shall be concurrent with that of the city solicitor and whose compensation shall be fixed by resolution and who shall assist the solicitor in the performance of all duties prescribed for him. Few other things. Section 36(6)(10) does provide for the appointment of a special counsel. However, special counsel are authorized to represent the city in special proceedings or matters such as negotiations of a labor contract. The retention of special counsel is not to provide general guidance or day-to-day advice of the city or its officials, especially when those duties have already been statutorily assigned to the city solicitor. Ordinance 96-1 purports to be the enabling legislation for the appointment of a legal advisor. However, it is in my opinion that this ordinance is in conflict with the third-class city code and the home rule and optional plan law for this reason set forth above. In my opinion, council cannot create or fill a position that is in conflict with the code. In regards to something that Dr. Sosar said, where is it at? There is no mention or authorization in the code or the home rule and optional plan law for the appointment of a council legal advisor. To the contrary, the code specifies that the city solicitor is to direct and control all of the legal matters of the city, and that only other attorneys who can be retained by the city are assistant solicitors and special counsel. And the rules of the statutory construction provide that when the legislature includes specific items in an act, in this case, the ability to hire a solicitor, assistant solicitor, and special counsel, omissions from the list should be regarded as exclusions. Therefore, by the legislature provided for the very specific instances in which legal counsel can be retained by the city, failure to provide for a council legal advisor should be considered to be an exclusion under the act. So,
Thank you, Chris. You have any other, or thank you, Keith. You have any other questions?
I would just like that
Thank
on
you. Any
record
other
that
questions?
you are violating third-class
Thank
city
you. Any
code.
other questions?
Charlie, would you
No,
like to
Charlie, Charlie, you don't have to do anything. Any other questions? Roll call.
Bast,
No.
Cassatt,
No.
Mope,
Yes.
Sosar,
Yes.
Mundy.
Yes. Next, I have
It fails.
one more agenda. Okay, one more amendment to the budget. We're going to make some salary cuts among our management personnel. The salary cuts run from 30,000 on up. 30 to 35, we're going to do 2% cut. 36 to 41, 4%. 42 to 50, 5%. Over 50, we're going to do 10% cuts.
What were those numbers
I'm
again?
sorry, can you repeat that again?
30 to 35, 2%. 36 to 41, 4%. 42 to 50, 5%. Over 50, we're cutting 10% of the salaries of management and non-union personnel. Do I have, I'll present it. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second on the question?
What is this? Wait a minute, what is this?
We're making cuts to your budget.
No, you're not. You're making cuts to wages.
We're making cuts to the budget.
That has to be separate from the budget. Budget, you put numbers in.
These are part of your budget. Your salaries are part of your budget.
There can't be an amendment to a budget that we're gonna just cut this much, cut that much.
That's what you say. That's what you say.
That's what I say.
That's what you say.
All right, go ahead.
Chris,
do what
is
you
it-
have to do, Jack.
Well,
Are we able to cut salary?
Joe, a month, you were on the Sammy Lassand show saying we were in the black, we were fine. 3 weeks later, you were saying we're laying off people, the city's dying.
Because.
I don't know where we're at. That's why we're hiring a controller. I have no clue where we're at.
12 years you have no clue.
I have no clue because you're hiding
You're Rick
information.
Van Winkle. You slept
You're
for 12
hiding
years, and now
information.
you have
And I don't even think you know where you are. So we're in the black now. That's what you're saying.
I'm telling you,
We're in the black.
we are in the black.
3%.
We were not in the black when you did not fund the storm water.
I think we need to get back
Well,
to
the
point.
stormwater fee.
Stormwater was
Point
not
of
put in the
order.
budget.
Okay,
Point of
Joe.
order.
Running
Let's
out
get
of
back.
money.
Okay, the
Let's get
stormwater-
back on
Joe,
track
the
again,
stormwater fee is
please.
still in there. It's not, your people put that in there, and they should have put it at the beginning of the year.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I called a point of order.
Okay, go ahead, Dick.
That's the way it was.
Excuse me.
Point of order.
Go ahead,
It's
Dave.
time for us to get back on track. This is a point of information, a point of order. It's now time for discussions by the council members. It's now time for us, if there's no other discussion on council,
On the
for us
question-
to take a vote.
Discussion on what
Period.
There's
Okay.
a discussion on what you just presented.
Okay, what's your
What
question?
is that?
What's your question?
It should be an ordinance.
What's your question?
An ordinance that you are putting in cuts to non-union members.
What's your question?
That's, my question is, that should be an ordinance.
Okay, we'll take it,
Aside from-
we will take it
aside
under advisement. Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, what's the total amount, number-wise, for these cuts?
I don't know approximately, we'll say 48,000.
So you don't know?
I have an approximate, 48,000.
No, I want to know numbers.
48,542. How's that sound? But Steve will get a more accurate number. Okay?
Chris, are we able to do this in the budget?
You're voting tonight.
We can make amendments to
No, you
February
can't.
15th.
No, read your law. You can't. You gotta make them tonight and set the
We're going to
the
make
date
amendments,
that it's
we
gonna
can
be
make amendments up to
finalized.
February 15th, Joe.
You cannot.
We can make amendments up to
No, you
February
can't.
15th.
These 10 days are for the public to review.
They will review it, and we can
No,
make changes
You're
to
gonna
it.
make changes after they review.
Well, after 10 days.
After they review.
After, yes.
So then you gotta give it another 10 days.
We will. We will.
Am I right?
And that's,
Your guy says I'm
We
right.
will. Okay.
give the public more public
Okay,
notice if they
any other questions?
They have to the 15th or things
Okay.
stop.
Okay.
Chris, is it, what we're doing here, is it, can we do it? Or can they do it?
We didn't talk about specifically who's being changed. We mentioned management generally, so I'll assume I know who that is. One of those employees, I believe, is a union employee who is in management. I'm not sure who it applies to, so, I mean, it's hard for me to comment
Well-
without knowing the specific employees.
Okay, so,
But it's hard for me to opine on that.
Okay, because you haven't been able to research it.
Right, I
Okay.
don't know who we're talking
Okay.
about.
Okay.
any other questions?
Do you want
Are we
to,
getting
do you
a
have
list
the
of-
actual people that we're talking about here, or is
We
it
don't
just?
have the right numbers. They're gonna
Yes.
approve a budget with no numbers.
If I can find them. I don't know what I did with some of my papers.
Joe, the people had enough of tax increases, and they had enough of you.
Jack, do what you have to do.
They had enough of tax
But
increases.
Do what you have to do, but do it properly.
Well, we are doing it properly.
Fine.
What are the numbers?
And you can
Steve,
call all the
Steve,
point of
you'll
orders
get,
you
you'll
want.
get, you'll get,
You're not doing it
you'll get a
properly.
listing of who the cuts
There
apply
an
to.
Is there an amendment with these names and how much is being cut on them? And I'll make the adjustments if that's how it's made.
We'll get the names,
You have
yeah.
to look and see who makes 10,000, who makes
What?
5,000.
Well, we'll get the names for the next meeting.
What,
Well, you really are picking on the poor guys that aren't in the union. I'm telling you that.
Picking on everybody. We're picking on you.
You're hurting those guys.
I'm thinking about the taxpayers and the citizens of this city who have had enough.
Taking revenge.
Who've had enough. I'm not revenge on anybody. Those are good workers.
Jack, those poor guys that aren't covered by a union contract are getting screwed.
Well,
They-
that's what you think.
Dave had the benefit of.
Okay, any other questions? Roll call.
Bast,
No.
Cassatt,
No.
We'll do that next meeting.
Mope,
Yes.
Sosar,
Yes.
Mundy.
Yes.
there are no numbers. They have to be amending.
Okay, that's it for amendments to the budget. Resolution 2014-27, authorizing and executing an agreement with
Oh,
Skokowski and
excuse me,
DeCosta.
Are
Jack.
you going to even vote
We have
on
to
your
vote on
budget
it
that
as
you just
amended.
amended, or what?
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Can I ask a question?
Really?
Jack, can I ask a
oh,
question?
sorry.
Jack, I want to ask Chris, do we have enough time to make more adjustments after this? If we vote on it today, we have 10 days. Do we have time again to make more adjustments before the
You can make
15th?
amendments up to February 15th.
But the 10-day period is...
Yeah, but you've got to
No,
provide,
you can't.
as Charlie just indicated, you've got to provide that.
Well, 10 days. Okay, after 10 days, we can make adjustments. Okay.
But the
No.
10 days still
No,
fall under
Jim.
15th.
No. Once you make an adjustment, you have 10 more days for the public.
So any adjustment we need to make has to be made today.
You could call another meeting and make more adjustments, but you have to give 10 more days. But
So if we have a meeting-
The 15th.
If we have a meeting on the 4th, then that gives us, and have it ready by the 4th. We have from the 4th to the 15th for the 10 days for the
10
public.
days?
No.
Yes,
4th to the 15th. But I mean, we
That's
can make
11 days.
adjustments before,
10
between...
days now.
yeah. Yes.
The 4th to the 15th would be 11 days.
No, that's only 6.
7 days.
Yeah, you can't vote on this again on the 4th.
No, but can we make more amendments to it, or no?
The 4th is 7 days.
Yeah, you can make more, Chris, they can make more amendments on the 4th, right? They just can't vote on this specific budget. You can make amendments, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I didn't hear what
you can make amendments on the 4th. You just can't vote on this budget again. You can't have a second reading on the 4th.
No, the second, no.
No, but you can make amendments tomorrow if you wanted to.
As long as we have the final product done by the 4th, for them to have the 10 days to get to the 15th.
No, you gotta give people 10 days from now to comment for the next period. Then you can call your meeting, then you give them another 10 days.
Is he speaking out
That's,
of?
I don't know.
Yeah, 10, you're right, John.
So we need,
You're right.
So we need, so everything has to be done tonight. So, am I correct, Chris?
I'm sorry, I was talking to
Everything that we want to change has to be done tonight, the time frame.
I haven't done the math, but if the time frame doesn't allow for an additional change and then 10 more days for the public inspection, I guess it depends on what the calendar provides for it. I didn't do the math. You need the additional 10 days after the amendments are
We
made.
need 10, then 10 more,
Or you can vote on it.
so we
again.
don't have 20. So anything that needs to be changed by the 15th needs to be changed tonight.
Right.
Yeah, it seems to be the case.
Okay, then
Then you want to make
I
that amendment?
want to make some more
Go
amendments.
ahead, Jeff, go ahead.
We have some too.
Go ahead.
Okay. I would like to amend line item 301-330, the selling of the delinquent taxes. I'd like to not sell them and bring in $268,411.
$268,400?
$11, yeah, that's,
Presenting that.
I'm going to present that.
Okay, I'll second it.
What do you present?
That we increase that line item.
Decrease it,
Increase,
increase it.
yeah. By not selling them and using the figures from the collection agency, if we collect them on our own. Instead of selling the debt, we should be able to pull in that much.
Steve, have you, I know you've been looking at this, what do you think about it? Or, I know we talked about it.
I would say that it probably would be a good time to disengage from the sales of those delinquent taxes to that company, but we have to see what...
Because we lose too much money.
It's about a 10% cost to sell that, and you get your money in one lump sum ahead of time. This could be a good opportunity to extract the city from that project, and then next year would bring in a lot more money. But would have to really check to see...
What amount is it, Steve?
Pardon?
What amount is it? What amount are we talking delinquents?
The delinquent amounts for 2013 are, for 2012, I should say, were $318,000. We netted $269,000 from that But monies from that were dispersed to the debt fund, and some portion goes to recreation. We ended up with about $197,000. The delinquents for 2013 are $527,000. So they typically collect 50% of that or more in the first year, so we should be able to get 50%.
54% is their average in the first 12 months, and then 95% after the 17th.
Contract.
I thought the contract was up.
Yeah.
Okay, municipal.
I thought that was over this year.
Well,
It's over, but they still might be money due.
there's seven, this is the seventh time, in 2013 was the seventh year the city was in this. There are, basically, the city would borrow money against these delinquent taxes, and then the payments, when the people paid their delinquent taxes, it went to pay off that loan. It could be that the city has borrowed more money than they've paid back, so we would owe them some money to get out of this, and that's what we have to determine what that amount might be.
And it's not borrowed, they give you a percentage, they call that borrowing. If there's 100%, they give you 60 or 70%, and then they try and collect it, pay that back. If they don't collect it, that's due them from us.
So I have to see what we would owe them to get out of this program.
Okay, you didn't look at the contract yet, or, Chris, did you look at the contract?
For the funding?
Yeah.
I reviewed it when we first entered into it. I don't remember what the unraveling terms are. I know that it's some percentage of whatever remains uncollected. They don't do a calculation, I don't think, on a year-to-year, so you really don't know what that is until you ask them to prepare it in anticipation of the unraveling, which the district did that, I think, a few years ago.
But there could be some additional costs in the first year to get out of this, is all I'm saying, so.
Okay.
I think it's a good idea to get out of that program. This is probably as good a time as any to do that, but
So
we may not.
You sort of think it's a good idea?
I think it's a very good idea to get out of it.
Okay.
But it may be that if we have to pay them back some additional monies, we may not realize what we think we might this first year. So whatever. And the other thing is, if you're adding revenue into here, where does that apply on the, I mean, if we're adding $68,000, how does all this stuff balance out?
Balance to,
What does that match in terms of expenses? You were basically adding $68,000 to the budget.
$268,000.
there was 200 in there, so it goes.
The budget is at $200,000 in here for delinquent taxes, and you're wanting to add, make that $268,000?
Yes.
Okay. So you're increasing revenue by $68,000. Is there some? Is that applied to
Well,
some?
there's going to be a lot of changes.
Okay.
If this is the last day, I have a lot of changes here.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Do we have to vote on each one separate, or?
Well, no, go ahead. I'll aggregate them.
I should have brought my
How do you know if this is balanced? Unbalanced. I don't know if it's balanced.
Okay. Increase the action.
I have no idea.
You know what income that you have to pay.
Let's go to,
Taxes. I have no idea.
that one have to go back to consumption.
No, but
Okay, I guess the executive branch, the Department 401-5181, there's a line item missing with the incentive pay of $400.
Incentive pay.
So you're adding that?
It'd be an expense.
Yes,
That I don't-
that's what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Under here, I don't know what.
It's the same thing with Department 405-5181. There's a $100 incentive pay missing. Department 405-5420. I think we should join the PA City League of Cities.
Not at this time.
Jeff,
We can put
I'm
it
in
in.
favor of doing that, but I want to see how, in the next maybe month or two, how our budget
If we
shapes
put
up.
this in, then we have time to take it back out, correct?
Okay,
We can't
yeah.
add to it.
We could put it in and just hold off on it before you join.
The budget doesn't have to
If
balance
we're going to put the
tonight,
League of
correct?
Cities in, Steve,
It has to balance if you're going to pass it.
What did you say?
Tonight, after the first reading or after the second reading?
What is the amount, 96, is that
First reading.
9,600?
$9,933.
Now, $9,933.
well, Jeff, we'll just use some of, more of the
Somebody's
unencumbered
paid.
fund
Yeah,
balance
to
to
pay
cover that, okay.
We can make it
To
better.
make it balanced, we'll use some of the unencumbered
Real good
fund
idea,
balance.
cut somebody's pay to...
Whose pay did that come out of?
Excuse me?
Whose pay did that come out of?
Yours.
Oh,
Should
good.
come out of yours.
Try that one, Jack. Try that.
I wish I could.
Yeah, I know you wish.
Okay, next.
407-5181, $100 incentive pay. Department 408-5181, there's $300 incentive pay.
Can they add these lines?
Now, wait, Jeff. Steve, are you agreeing with this? From what, are they missing, you forgot them, or is
Number
it-
one, I don't know if...
they're just not in the budget and they should be in there?
I don't know if they can be added in or not. This is for if somebody has sick day, if they don't use sick days by the end of the year, they can get an incentive.
Okay, but are you agreeing with Jeff, or are you saying they shouldn't be in there, or it's a possibility they should or shouldn't?
These lines were not put in here because they're, I don't know if we could add lines, I don't know if you can add lines to the budget.
Well, if we can, we just put it in miscellaneous expense in the same department then.
Is that 5181 as miscellaneous? Okay.
The last 57, 50, I think it's 574, was it?
This would be the highest amount that somebody could get. They may not get anything.
Okay, it's just
But
a
it should-
possibility they may get it.
Possibility, yes.
Okay, okay.
I mean, it's on your comp.
Okay, go
it's on-
ahead, Jeff.
No, it's a good
I'm
idea
fine.
to-
I'm okay.
Include it.
It's a good
Okay.
idea to have them.
Department 408-5238, protective clothing, $450.
I'm not sure if he gets, he probably gets it.
450. That's, yeah. 409-5181, incentive pay, $400.
5181?
I'm sorry, how much was that, Jeff?
400.
400. I have a list, Lisa, if you.
Say 5181?
Okay, thank you.
There's no,
There isn't a,
there aren't, those line items aren't in.
there, these line items are here. What do
You
you,
said put it under miscellaneous.
Well, put it under miscellaneous expense then for,
where are you getting those line items?
every department should have a 5181, correct?
No? 409, it's not here.
Okay, then put it in miscellaneous expense for now.
Where's
Lisa,
miscellaneous?
whatever they are, Lisa, put them in miscellaneous expense for that department.
Where's
Okay.
miscellaneous?
They're actually paid out as wages because they fall into their part of.
Some departments have it in and some don't, so.
Right.
Okay, okay, go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I'll just tell you what's missing. You can put it wherever you want to put it then. In incentive, in that department 409, there's an incentive pay of $400 missing.
Okay.
There's protective clothing missing of $450.
Who's that? Who's that? Who's that?
5-3.
Is the,
All the numbers came off the compensation sheets that you provided me.
so 409 buildings and plant?
Yep, that employee had in the compensation sheet that you provided.
5238. Because there are two people in that group, so it probably, okay. And 5238, you said?
Yes.
Is that for a clothing allowance?
Yes. It was on the sheet that you gave me.
Okay, I'll check. I'm not sure if those people get that. What does the highway get? Clothing allowance. Each. So that's $450 each times two. Is that times two?
Whatever was on with that sheet, I don't know if it was one or,
Because there are actually two people in that department, if that's what,
one, that would be 900 then.
okay, okay. They're in City Hall Union. I don't know what they're supposed to get. I don't know what City Hall Union gets.
They're back in there. The health department, 421, same thing, incentive 600.
How much, 600?
600.
Okay.
The Department 430, did you adjust that wage, the first line? Our numbers are a little bit off in the, was there any adjustment that went on with that? It changed. I don't know if that has to be a,
I think if there was an adjustment made in there,
but do we have to adjust that now or no?
there may be a person in there that would be, yeah, I show 585. I was indicating that somebody was going to be leaving partway through the year. So their salary is only in, their pay is only in for a number of months, and then they indicated they were leaving April 1st, so that pay then for the rest of the year after that is not in there. So that, I don't know if that's where the difference came in or not.
Okay. The 430, 5750, I think we have to add the loader payment to that. If we're emptying out the sword transmission fund, then we've got to put the loader payment into the street department of $29,785. So I think line item 4305750. The recreation department, I would like to change the department head, which would be line item 452-5100 to 5,000, and line item 452-5101 to 25,000. It's the department head and then the part-time workers that go along with it. And then the line item 452-5361, the power is off by a couple dollars. We should make that 15,000, and then that in turn makes line item 452-5103, the revenue, go down to 15,000.
I'm sorry?
That's not right.
What's the 22? So we're at 3. So I'm showing that we're,
In recreation, did you change the income in the expenses?
Yes.
What did you change in the income?
The expenses?
What about the income? Where did you change that? How could you change that anyway?
No, not the income, the transfer of line item 452-5361. No, that's, I'm
It's
sorry, I'm sorry.
5361.
I'm sorry, 452-5103.
Okay,
That
maintenance.
transfer, because of the expense being higher, the transfer into general fund has to be lowered
To 21,000?
to
You,
15,000.
you can't take expenses out of there because that tax is specifically
It's not,
for.
the expense is, the
Well, then you're gonna-
the power is going up,
Right.
and the grass cutting has to go down.
The what's going up?
The power, 452-5361. We spent 15,000 this year, and it's budgeted for 9 next year. So unless
In
we're shut-
recreation?
Yes. So that's, the expenses are the same.
No, I don't have that number. 5361, electricity, you want that to go up?
Well, we spent 15,000 this year, and it's only budgeted for 9.
Mm-hmm.
Are you
So it's-
considering a savings with our
I mean, that's
energy?
a pretty big, but
He's considering.
that's $6,000. That's 40% savings on power.
That's what we're hoping to. With our streetlights, we cut that down by about 60%. For streetlights, now, these come under the same category because they're streetlights there for the most part. So that rate is 3.9 cents. But if you want to keep that at 15, that's an increase of 6,000. The head wages you decreased by 6,000, and you increased the
part-timers. The
part-timers by 9,000.
What should have been,
Okay. So then there's a,
no, it's, I decreased it to 5,000 and increased the part-time wages to 25,000, so it stays at 30,000.
for the two of them, and it now is at 27,000.
That'll be 5.
So that's
and
an increase of
5 and 25 total. It's still 30,000.
But that's, to me, that between those two is an increase of $3,000, and then the power went up by 6,000, so that's an increase of $9,000. So if you cut the wages for maintenance by 9,000, that would be even then. Is that what?
No, they're all expenses.
So
I'm
you
sorry.
reduce that, the net result is that they'd all
He's moving the money around.
No,
on
I'm
expenses.
sorry. I was based off of the first budget that passed. I'm sorry. So that would be, yeah, I see. Okay, you did decrease those already.
So then the transfer to wages maintenance would be 21,000.
Okay, just yes.
If that's what you want.
I want to keep the wages the same. Just transfer the head, lower the head, and raise the part-timers.
Okay, so the total I have in here
It
is
was
27,000.
total. So
Right.
make it 5 and
5 and 20.
22.
22. Correct. I'm sorry.
Okay, okay. And then the transfer to the wages maintenance
Whatever's left over goes.
is 15,000?
Yes.
So you cut that by 15,000 and increase the other one by 6.
That's the only one that could be cut.
Okay. But then to get this to balance, there'd need to be something else.
Got to be balanced.
Yeah.
It balanced, doesn't?
So the 5 and 22,000 that stays the same. If you lower the wages maintenance to 15,000 and increase there's $9,000 difference that.
A second.
Could go into another category if you wanted.
Well, whatever's left over is what's transferred back into the general fund.
Okay.
Correct?
Okay.
No,
As wages for the
can't do that.
That's a dedicated fund.
for the
Dedicated
wage.
funds.
If it's reimbursement for the street, for whatever's left. That's the only number that could be.
So the 30,000 that was being cut to 15,000 would be cut to 24,000. Is that what you're?
Okay, if we're 6. Oh yeah. Okay, 6. Yes.
24,000.
Give me, a reason why you're cutting the maintenance in half.
Well, it's the only one that's variable, isn't it?
Why are you cutting in half? What reason do you have to cut that in half?
I'm looking to change the power to be a realistic number, and that's the only one that looks like it could be moved compared to the year-to-date actuals. If we don't spend as much on electricity, then you can move it back, but everything else looks like it's year-to-date is exact.
It's supposed to transfer over to the general fund.
This,
Contract and service.
we didn't do it.
You never transferred it.
So that's why he's.
We have to cover the power bill, unless you're that confident that we're going to save 40%.
Well, you could, I mean, you could.
We could always transfer that later, right?
You could make it 12,000 if you wanted to, or 15 is probably going to be high, but you could make that whatever.
Make it 12.
Okay, make it 12.
Why don't you just take the $6,000 out of there and put it down there to make
If
it?
you make that 12, then you're going to make the other one 27,000 would go, right?
Okay.
Right.
Wages, maintenance would be 27,000? Okay.
Yeah, I just don't like the power bill being
Okay.
6,000 cheaper.
Okay.
And then whatever's left over, that looks like the only variable one.
Power's being made to what, 12?
Yes. So as a recap.
Does that mean 452,501 is 27 then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely on that.
Or is that 5103?
5103, wages and maintenance.
Is 27?
Yeah, he has to be on that.
5325 is postage. I don't think we're gonna put that much in postage.
Those would be the numbers, it looks like. 5,100 would be $5,000, 5,101 would be 22,000, 5,103 would be 27,000, and 5,361 would be 12,000. Yeah, okay. Then that all balances out.
Then the only other question I have is the airport. Should there be a reserve if we have to make all that payment next year? Should there be like a reserve account in there to put money aside for when our payments come for the hangars? Could we add a fund? Because I mean, if it's balancing out here, 2 years from now, when we have to make all them payments on the hangars, we're going to get. Because it looks like we're spending the hangar, the income we're spending now. So what are we putting aside to make them hangar payments when the time comes?
I believe he said that in 2 years, the hangar should be paid for, the second one? Was that
But if we're
correct, Thomas?
spending that money this year, that's not being put aside to be paid for.
Where is it here?
The revenue should be put aside if we're going to use that money to pay for the hangar. So I think we need to cut some of the expenses out of the airport.
Well, I don't think there's payment in the first year.
But that's the second year. Aren't both of them due the same time? We have to pay them off and complete?
January 2015 payments would need to be starting to be
They'd have
made
to
on-
be in the 15
Are they
budget.
payments or are they is it like a one lump sum?
I think it's payments.
Right.
But
Senate Bill 680, which was approved by the governor to receive
Yeah.
50% of the hangar amounts. And then the city would be able to make payments on the, excuse me, not the city. Funds out of the airport fund would be able to.
So it's not a balloon payment. That's
Not a balloon payment.
no.
okay.
You'd be able to make payments, it could be structured for a 2-year loan, and it could be paid off for 2 years.
Okay.
Okay.
But I thought 2
Then I
years.
think that's all I have.
What was changed in the airport?
Unencumbered line items.
Are you done, Jeff?
Think so.
Okay. What are you going to do?
Unencumbered line items, that has to be
You,
placed in.
you said unencumbered funds a couple of times. Where is that coming from?
Yeah.
Wait,
The airport doesn't balance.
okay, we're talking about Jeff's,
The airport doesn't balance now?
Doesn't balance for what Jackie did.
What were the changes?
10,000, we took the 10,000 out of the engineer. That's right. The balance.
Yeah, but that's that's expenses out, or we have an excess.
Okay, that's what I'm just commenting on what he was commenting on.
It's not balanced, then.
It's not balanced.
So it has to, so if we put that $10,000 in a fund,
What, is that, would that be put someplace else?
no, I mean yours. I mean,
Yeah, if we can't spend airport money, Dominic, we lost 50,000 on, did we lose 50,000 on the airport? Get the budget out. What does that say, expenses and
How
expenditures?
much do we have in fuel?
Lose
How much
50,000.
money do we have in
Shows
fuel?
$46,000,
Did we lose 50,000?
46,000.
So that came, where did that come from? That
No,
came from the
But-
city.
We
But the
didn't
money was, the money that
We
was,
didn't lose that.
was
Where did
used,
that come from, the city?
the money was used to buy fuel, which is in a tank there. Now
Our
there's-
inventory wasn't added in there.
Yeah, there's fuel inventory at the airport that,
Well, then the balance, was a balance.
what's not.
Inventory of what? Fuel.
Fuel, yeah,
$120,000 of fleet fuel.
yes. Yes.
Why did you buy $120,000 worth of fuel? Okay, so that's, so you're saying, yeah, but you accounted for that in that year?
December
20,000 gallons. Well, he didn't give it to us.
It,
It wasn't in here.
I was just looking
in
at
the
it because
budget.
I just got these papers, but what would have to be looked at, the beginning inventory was 3,975 gallons in the avgas, and the end of the year was 9324. So the difference was there's an addition of 5,348 gallons of avgas, and then jet fuel, there's an addition of 5,636.
yeah.
Well, you could put it, okay, so you're saying it's out of budget, put it in a reserve fund or miscellaneous in
I
case
thought that would
there's,
be the-
something comes up.
If you cut 10,000, it should go in a different, put it in some other line item, or reduce the revenue by 10 grand.
Well,
This-
where do you want to put it? Well, you could put
be
it
like
in
a
a line
reserve
item, a
fund?
reserve fund or a sinking fund for the,
There's a capital lease, there's a capital purchase, there's a local match, capital improvements.
capital improvements, let's put it
Okay.
in there.
Okay, so it'll come from the engineering into capital improvements, okay? All right. Very good. That's a good place for it.
Oh, here it is. Okay, Jeff, we're going to vote on Jeff's amendments now? Is that, any other questions on Jeff's amendments?
My question was, you said that unencumbered funds thing a couple of times. Where is the unencumbered funds coming from?
What's the balance, the unencumbered fund balance as of today?
I don't know.
The unencumbered
I
fund.
thought, okay, as of the other day, it was 895, right, Jeff? What was it the other day?
That's money in the general fund account.
Yes, that's general.
And it's
fund.
unencumbered funds.
I didn't say that, no.
What we need to put in this budget is the money that we left with 2013 with, the unencumbered fund balance, which was $1,381,890.98. That's what, and year-to-date, we had nothing for 12/31/2013. That was the balance that was left in our unencumbered funds, all right?
And Dennis Moore said, or Bob Moore said we could put it in the budget.
Yes, he did, and that's.
I agree with that. You could, if you have a fund balance, you can put money as revenue into
Yeah.
the budget, but I don't agree that that number, I don't agree that that number
What's
is,
the number, Jeff? The number you gave me from the other day, where was that from?
that's a bank account balance.
895.
Bank account number?
That
That's
was,
a bank account balance.
Yes.
As of that day. We have bills that we have obligations to pay.
That's cash flow, not
what's
surplus.
what's the balance of bills from 2013 that have to be paid? What has to be paid?
I think the number was, it varies every day, but I think it was $130-some thousand.
Yeah, it was around 130-some thousand
As
that
of
you
that day,
owed,
I don't know what other
that you
obligations we
owed,
may have.
all right? But we had that money, which nobody knows about. We also
No,
start.
you don't
we
have
also
that, you
started-
don't have that money
excuse
if you,
me,
you don't have that money if you have
Point
obligations.
of honor, point of order.
Okay, go ahead.
we had money that started 2013 with from 2012, 900,000, all right? We have been using a cash basis balance. I don't care how you say it. We've been using money that was left over from the previous year. It's carried over into the beginning of the year, and we have not used a TANs note. Where did we start the year off with if we have a zero balance? We did not.
You don't
get
have a
TANs
zero
note.
balance at the end of a year.
No. We had money left from both years, all right? And
Yeah.
that is why we need to have it in the budget.
Every year you end up with money. That doesn't mean it's surplus.
I'm not saying
It's obligated.
not all of it.
Oh, not all of it. But you tell me how much.
Okay, you
You
tell
don't
me
know.
where, this is a question I asked Mr. Moore. We had 900,000. We spent 300,000 in expenses when we started this year. Where'd the other 600,000 go?
Where did it go? It's still there.
Maybe.
It's still
maybe-
there. It's a rotating balance.
Yes,
It's
and
never,
you've been using it.
For years, we were at zero.
You've been
Now we
using
have
it.
a balance.
Yes, you know why? Because you took a $5.6 million loan out. This is how we ended up.
No, we didn't. No, that paid off debts. That money's
That
all.
paid off
That
debts, and
money
we had
is.
money
That
left.
money's all obligated and recorded.
I'm telling you, we
Don't
have
say we took money.
900,000. I have the register.
I don't know where you get your.
Check register here. $971,612 we started 2013 with. All right?
Right.
We can't ignore it. It was already used.
But
We
you
did
can't
not-
transfer that into another account. That's obligated money.
We did not take out a TANs note this year. Therefore, what did the city start
We didn't
with?
take out a tax note because there is money in our account to carry us
Exactly.
the first.
And that money.
That's the way it works.
That money came from 2013, 12 into 13, and we got money from 2013.
Wherever it came from,
Going into 2014.
wherever it came from, you should have that money in an account so that you can carry yourself that month.
And it's called an undercover fund, and that's where it belongs.
Unencumbered fund, no.
And it
It's an
belongs-
obligated fund.
It belongs in the
It's
budget.
cash flow.
Okay, what else?
not arguing.
We're gonna,
Okay, I'm not
let's
gonna
get back to Jeff's amendments. Any more questions on Jeff's amendments?
That in the budget.
Yeah, but that we have to do these other amendments if we're gonna do them. Okay, on Jeff's amendments, roll call?
Bast?
Yeah, it was,
No.
no, wait,
No, it
somebody,
wasn't
did we,
presented. I'll
Yeah, it
present.
was Jeff and Jack.
Okay.
was it presented and,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
make
was
it Jeff and
seconded.
Jack.
Yeah.
okay.
Bast?
No.
Kassat?
Yes.
Mope?
Yes.
Sosar?
Yes.
Mundy?
Yes. Okay, go ahead, Jeannie. What do we want to do?
Now, under unencumbered fund balance, 396-3820. Under year-to-date, we had nothing listed when we ended 2013, 12/31. That balance should be included in what we had, $1,381,890.98. And what we started this year with after we paid our bills from 2012, that number needs to go into 2014.
It doesn't go in the budget. There's no cash balance in a budget. A budget is an operating budget.
I know.
It's not an account of your finances.
They're operating.
It's not an account of your finances.
So Bobby Moore. Bobby Moore said it's
I don't care what
cash
Bobby Moore said.
basis. I'm telling you.
The budget, you put your expense.
Want that
Why didn't
money?
you have
No.
a
I don't, because you're relaying what Bobby Moore
No,
says,
I'm
and if
telling
I
you.
talk to him, it'll come out different.
No, it won't.
Yes,
Because
it
you know
will.
What? You threatened
When you-
layoffs last year. When
Yes.
You had over $1 million
Yes.
in that budget.
Yes, because we were broke.
Okay, well,
When we were in the
broke.
black.
We're in the black now.
Okay,
After
okay.
$500,000 you put in.
Okay.
I was
we're,
short $500,000.
Was, in our previous budgets, like 10, 11, 12, did we have the unencumbered fund balance? I
No.
remember a number in there.
It's zeros.
It's zeros in the other budgets.
You would not take that number and put it into a budget. What this
Okay.
item is a money from a prior year fund balance. So if you have money in the bank in a fund balance, you can take a portion of that and list it as revenue in the budget. And that's what you did by putting 250.
Oh, we put it as, okay,
You
we can
put
do that. Okay, so we're not putting it
252,000.
as a line item. Okay, fine. Okay.
This is the line item, but you put 252,000. in there,
Okay,
didn't you?
fine, okay.
As revenue.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
we
that's
already put
accounted
it, we
for.
already put it in. We're okay with that.
All right,
We'll-
as long as
we'll
it's
move on.
accounted for, because I do not want threats of layoffs when there's money there.
Okay, go ahead. What else do we have?
Well,
Let's-
The assistant foreman.
you move that from a fund balance into this line item. I don't know what's in that account, but that was the number 252? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Jeannie.
In the streets department, okay, now, I know we have to go through the whole process with the contract. We have to go through having it open, talked about, but we would like to remove the assistant foreman's position and put 2 leads in. We'd be saving ourselves money there. And if we do that, we would have to increase the 2 people who are posted for this position. This has to be posted, and this has to go in front of the streets department, and they'll have to decide on it. But for now, I would like to remove his pay and at least put $5,000.
Are you aware that we have an assistant foreman?
Well, do we or don't we?
We do.
Yes, we do.
Who?
We,
He's on
he's
sick.
on sick.
He's retiring.
No, he's on sick.
And how long has he been on sick?
Almost a year.
Almost a year.
Yeah.
How much is he entitled for sick?
Huh?
I want to be in his union.
What's, is he taking his sick days, Joe? Is that what
Yeah,
doing?
he's using his sick days up.
Oh, he's not really sick, he's just taking his
No,
sick
he's
days.
sick because I made him get the doctor, and the doctor reported he's sick, and he has to stay home.
I mean,
Not capable of work.
So he has to stay home and we're paying him.
Yes, that's how it works.
And then there's an acting foreman, right? There's an acting
And he's
assistant?
he's a foreman, assistant foreman.
Do we have an active?
He's in that position, and
Well, how
he's
could you
getting
put him in
paid.
his position when the guy's sick, the other guy's sick?
Sick.
Yeah, but how could you put him in that position? Maybe that guy
He
will come
was
back
in that
tomorrow.
position. He was in that position.
But
when he
maybe
got-
he'll get better tomorrow.
Maybe.
Right.
Then
Yeah.
what do you do with-
So well, you can't cut his pay.
Well, then what are you doing? You're going to have 2 acting foremans.
No.
Or
No,
two
no,
forem-
no,
two
no,
assistant
no.
foremans.
All I did was I put a guy in as an acting foreman while he's sick.
Well, that's what I asked you.
No, you didn't say that. You said he's an acting. I said no, he's a real foreman. The guy that's sick, he's in a foreman position. I can't appoint anybody in that position because he's there.
Okay, okay.
So-
The person in there now is...
So we have to get somebody to substitute for him, only because of the second shift, rather than have
Did the
Frankie
union file a
go.
grievance over this because it wasn't done right? Is
Yeah,
that what
not
I hear?
yet they haven't. No,
Or are they going to?
ask Mike.
Okay, but, okay. Okay, 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 okay. Well, this is what we'd like to see in the budget. Whatever you're going to do, I mean, I don't know.
Well, you can't take his salary. We're obligated to pay
Because
this
he's
guy.
paying it. Okay.
Until his retirement is official.
He has to say that. I don't know when he's retiring.
I thought he turned in April 7th.
No, he might have said that to people. He
I
didn't.
thought
Yes,
he
he submitted.
he
did.
submitted the resume,
Oh, okay.
yes.
So that, the rest of the
April-
year
it's-
in that position is not in the budget.
This is already adjusted.
It's not in.
It's adjusted to that.
Okay, okay, well,
Okay.
Is there an assistant foreman position in the contract?
Is there?
It's not a union position, it's
It's
a
not.
management position.
Okay.
Management position.
well, we'd like to cut it out and put 2 leads, and we'll make that part of the budget. Go ahead, Gene.
It is cut out.
It is
It is
pulled out
cut
of
out.
it
It
already.
is cut
Oh,
out.
okay, well, then we don't have to do it.
Right.
All right. Then we can discuss with them when the position's open, what they would like. They would rather have an assistant foreman or 2 leads.
You can have an assistant foreman if you just cut it out.
It's,
Yeah.
It is cut out, okay.
yes.
Cut it out.
Well, then we need 2 leads.
Okay, okay, is that it? The leads. We'll do that. We'll get that later. No, we're okay with that. Gene. No, that's fine. We're good. No, we'll be all right. We cut enough. We'll be fine. Okay, anything else? Anything else? Okay, we'll call on the budget.
Bast,
No.
Cassatt,
Yes.
Mope,
Yes.
Zosar,
Yes.
Mundy.
Yes. Next
Is
is,
this balanced?
We have no idea. We have no idea.
Steve, that's why you get paid $78,000. You're gonna
Jack.
balance it.
Jack, when you vote on something, you should have the balances in.
This is cover your
The
eyes.
numbers should be there.
We'll go into the
It's in
darkness
balance.
together. That's what we're doing
You'll
right now.
balance it.
Where would, I'm not allowed to, change,
Stormwater fee.
I can't change line items.
Don't even go there.
I can't change line items in here
But,
to make it balanced,
Chris.
or I'd be changing the budget
Chris.
that you just voted on.
Chris,
I can't
you
change
said it doesn't have to be in balance. You told me it didn't have to be in balance after the
Absolutely
first
has to
reading.
be balanced.
He said
Absolutely.
after the first reading. He told me it didn't have to for passage.
It says in there
It has
balance.
to be revenue and expenses have to balance.
Balance.
Chris, okay, wait. You told him one thing and now it's another? What is it? You told him it didn't have to be balanced. I heard him tell me that too.
How
but
can you have a budget
now
that
because
doesn't
Joe's
balance?
here
After the
and
first-
he's
I didn't-
pressuring
I
you,
didn't
you're
say
saying it
that.
doesn't have to.
I didn't say
Because
that.
Joe's here, he's pushing you
Not what I
into
said.
saying it doesn't have to be
No,
balanced.
I'm not
Looked at him and
pushing
said
him.
upon passage.
Huh?
Looked at him and said upon passage. In my opinion, it has to be balanced upon passage, upon final adoption.
Be balanced.
Okay, so then second and third, so this is the first reading of the amended budget.
But you can't do that if you're going to have the
How can it-
public review
but
an
so it can
unbalanced
be out of
budget and then
balance?
pass the budget.
It doesn't have
Fine.
to be balanced?
No, because you're going to have to do something.
The code says it has to be balanced upon final.
Final reading, okay, that's good. So then you'll put the numbers in and balance it. He just said it doesn't have to be balanced at this reading.
I'll put
The
whatever.
second and third.
I'll put whatever numbers and whatever it comes out to, you'll
Okay.
have to amend it.
There
to
is a
balance.
difference. It would just go in as a tax increase until we
Okay,
have the chance
okay.
to amend it later.
Okay. Next
I
is
can't
Resolution
change it myself.
2014-27, authorizing and executing an agreement with Skokoski and Cosmos Services as City Council Legal Advisor.
I'll present.
Second. On the question?
On the question.
I would just like to, state again that as far as the city solicitor is concerned, and as far as I can see, 96-1 is an illegal ordinance, so this is pretty much a moot point at some point. I don't know what the mayor's going to do when it passes for Jack's
Yeah,
buddy. Also, they put in here that they're going to pay him $125 per hour, which is more than the city solicitor gets paid.
No,
so
no, it
we're
isn't.
gonna
You're wrong. Chris, tell him he's wrong. You get 130.
It's 120.
You get 130.
No.
He gets paid 120. We passed the check. You just weren't paying attention.
Actually, I reduced it if you remember, Jack.
Yeah.
The last-
When?
When the
A couple months
agreement
ago.
was passed.
They voted on it.
You voted on it.
So
Jack.
also, they're going to pay
When?
him more money.
Passed.
Huh?
So
When
we'll
the agreement
amend
was
it.
passed.
We're going to pay him more money
Number.
for an opinion that doesn't matter.
Okay, we'll
Right.
match it.
30,000 plus for
ma-
no
we'll
reason
match
at
his,
all.
okay? We'll-
Because he's
we'll-
Jack's buddy.
Yeah,
That's the whole reason for this.
okay.
Excuse me.
Okay, we're going to change that to 120 an hour, okay, to make some people happy.
No, you're not. You're going to have to amend. You're going to have to amend it.
Listen, we're going to amend it. We're going to amend it to.
Let me just
120.
ask you a question, Jack.
Go ahead.
You're entering into a contract.
Joe, I've
Wait.
been here.
Let me
I've
just
been
ask
here
you
a number of
let me
years.
ask the question.
Here, I was at these
He
meetings
doesn't want
before
the question.
council.
He just wants to scream and
I saw
yell.
council put solicitors on, so I've been here a long
Jack,
time.
I'm asking you a question. Are you entering into a contract with this gentleman here?
Yes.
Okay. You heard that, right? Who signs contracts?
Typically, the mayor is authorized to sign a.
You have to authorize me to sign it.
I don't care if you sign a contract.
Won't sign it.
Well, then good, don't.
Well, then he doesn't get paid.
Well, yes, he will get paid.
Well,
Illegally.
no, he won't.
That's what we're going to do.
No, he won't.
'Cause
This is a
this
contract.
Jack's
This
way of
is an
doing things.
expenditure
Code
of
that-
money,
it's in the
and you're
code that we
obligating
could
the
hire
city.
one. If you're going to play
This
games,
has to be a
He
contract.
hired his own. You had the privilege of having a solicitor.
No, I
I
didn't.
read it. You
No.
did, Mr. Perry did, Mr. Puza did, and now all of a sudden,
What solicitor?
you had
Who?
Waco.
Who?
he was still on for a while when you
Who?
were on. Waco was
No,
our
I wasn't
solicitor.
on when Waco was
Yes, you
on.
were. You were
Sir,
here,
I
Joe.
have your name on the list.
2001?
You were here when
I mean,
Waco was here.
2003.
You were here
Waco.
when Waco was here. She'll know.
He was a He was a special litigator that was suing Marcicano and
He's council
Ripa.
solicitor.
No, he
That's
wasn't.
what he was.
He was an
Council
assistant
solicitor.
He was a special solicitor.
Was marked as and hired as council solicitor.
Okay, any
I
other
had the
questions?
paperwork.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Roll call.
Bast,
No.
Cassatt,
No.
Mope,
Yes.
Sosar,
Yes.
Mundy.
Yes. Next, Resolution 2014-28, repealing Resolution 2011-79, appointing the acting city administrator, director of administration as the right-to-know officer. Well, we could do it at another meeting. This is,
Excuse me.
Steve, you're going to be the right-to-know officer?
On the question here, how do you take
Hasn't
the
even
busiest guy in City Hall and give him that
I
project?
didn't appoint him. I
didn't
thought he
appoint him.
volunteered.
Somebody you put it on.
No, I didn't.
I didn't.
He didn't.
I didn't put this on. Lisa, who put this on?
I
It
believe I
says
got
right
a-
here, Jack Monday and Vice President Gene Mope.
Yeah.
I never said a word about it.
Well,
I
then
was
you
never
gotta-
told anything.
You should check your agenda.
This on, we were changing Lisa from the right to know.
There's the email I got.
Yeah, we were changing Lisa from the right to know.
And you weren't asked to be on, you weren't asked to be?
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, but
Place on
no one-
agendas for Tuesday's meeting.
No one- no
Jeannie
one-
and Jack. So, hey, you did it, Jack.
Yeah, but no one asked you to be the right-to-know officer?
No. No, no.
No, you
Okay,
got
well
it.
then we're,
All
then,
right, we asked a senior level employee. That's what he was trying to say. We didn't ask you specifically. We asked for a senior level employee.
What does that mean? Yes, for one.
okay, you don't want to do it. Okay, we'll find somebody
No,
else.
I
Okay.
didn't say that. No one talked to me about it.
Okay, I thought you were in agreement with it. I'm sorry.
I mean,
It was a,
It belongs to the
it
administration.
was a miscommunication.
It belongs to the administration. That's where the right to know actually came in place. Mary Ellen
I'll do
had it.
whatever I'm asked to.
It's either
I'll
Mary
do
Ellen.
whatever I'm asked to do.
And I
but
don't
I'm-
even know who put Allison on as a secondary. I had no clue where that came from.
Nancy is, Doyle is the alternate if Lisa's not here, which she was out for a period of time. Nancy is the alternate and was never, I don't know if it was voted on. I asked, she can't do it. She asked if she could be relieved of that duty. It takes a lot of time. So I had asked if Allison could be put on.
But
in her
right to
place.
know officer falls under your department.
I said, I'll do whatever I'm asked to do.
Okay, you're volunteering. Okay, I apologize for
Whatever.
putting it on. I thought you volunteered.
I
But you're
did not-
okay with it?
I did not discuss that with.
You're okay with it?
No, that's.
Okay,
You got
on the question?
Anybody going to present it or what? You didn't
Oh,
even present it.
oh,
To be presented.
present it
I'll second it.
on the question.
This is bullshit.
Roll call.
Bast,
Yeah. Yes.
Cassatt,
Yes.
Mope,
Yes.
Sosar,
Yes.
Mundy.
Yes. Okay.
They cut your pay and give you more work.
Okay, well, okay, that, we repeal, no, wait, we repealed, okay, that was 2014-28, we repealed, Lisa,
Yes.
and we have to vote, yeah, so we have to vote on Steve,
That doesn't. Is what?
okay?
Oh, no, that was all in
That
one.
replaced.
All in one.
It was all one resolution.
That was all one.
Okay, but I have two resolutions here.
The second is
This one is
for
an alternate.
Allison.
Second one's for Allison.
Allison.
Oh,
As an alternate.
oh, okay, appointing an alternative right-to-know officer, okay. Resolution 2014-29,
Presented.
I'll second.
on the question. Roll call.
Bast,
Yes.
Cassatt,
Yes.
Mope,
Yes.
Sosar,
Yes.
Mundy.
Yes. Next is Resolution 2014-30, approving the non-combat type aircraft conditional transfer document from the United States of America to the City of Hazleton for a transfer of Bombardier Learjet model C-21A, serial number 84-1000. Present it?
I want to table it.
Well, you could second it, then we have to, but we could talk about it. Could you? While you're here, we could, but we still,
Dominic, is this going to cost the city any money?
No.
How is it going to get paid to get here?
Donations have been secured.
what happens if you don't get enough donations?
I already have them in place.
For everything,
Yes.
not just the transportation, but for the repair work.
You don't have to repair it.
Yes, you do. I talked to the lady.
You do not have to repair it. That's only if you want to enact the secondary reason for acquiring this. The first and foremost reason would be to honor the military of the community by putting out putting this on display, and the second was to put it on display to allow the youth of the area, as well as high school and college students, to become involved in the aviation industry, and they could come and look at the aircraft and get involved. So they're the main two reasons for that. And we had that conference call yesterday, Jack, with.
Yeah, I know. I talked to her. She was very nice and helpful, and I liked what she said. I mean,
Yeah, and she said that she requested that this be approved tonight.
Wait. No, she said we had some time. She told me. She said. I said, are you absolutely? She said, no. I just want to know a definite time. And she said if we could do this at the next meeting, she'd be fine with it. Now.
Yeah.
I know you will put it on tonight, and I told you to wait, but I'm giving you a chance. I'm not totally against this.
Understood.
But I want to listen to your side of it and tell me that this will not cost the city any money.
Right, I'm saying that right now.
That's all I want to know.
Yes.
Well, one of the questions that I have, one of the things that we had talked about was the idea that the engines were to be started, I believe it was once every 2 weeks.
Yes, but
To help maintain it.
that would be if you wanted to keep the aircraft in operation. However, that is not the agreement that I have with the company that's going to be transferring it. The engines would be preserved on the jet, so they will not have to be started. The only thing that would be operable would be the electronics in there for the students of the community to become involved in the aircraft. Okay, and it would be under the supervision of course, instructors.
And as far as the electronics are concerned, in maintaining those, is there, again, I know you're talking donations, but is there going to be costs that will be involved over a 5-year time period for electronics? Because electronics can become quite expensive. You're talking about a very sophisticated piece of equipment, and that would be one of my concerns.
Yes, that's a good question, Dave. Now, if something electronically would become inoperable, the city would not be required to repair it because the city is not intending to fly the aircraft. Okay?
Okay.
So
if something breaks down, it just continues to maintain itself as broken down.
yes, there's no commitment that all the electronics have to be in operation. It's a piece of equipment that's there to be on display. Number one, to honor the military, and then number two is to help the youth of the community.
I spoke with her today.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead if you want to. Go ahead.
One other question that I had off the top of my head was, will this be covered under our insurance umbrella?
Yeah, our current insurance umbrella covers static displays, the liability for a static
Kids
display.
going through it and playing with it, or
Yes.
getting in it, or they
Well,
cover that in case somebody
okay.
falls, breaks their neck.
Okay. Number one, Jack, there will be no kids playing with the
Well, I
jet.
mean, students
Okay.
coming on board and
Yes, it is covered that for people to come on the jet by appointment only. It's not going to be open as a museum.
Be open, okay.
It is going to be by appointment only to observe the jet.
I got to be honest with you. I did have one person call me this afternoon. Lisa had sent me, and I guess some of the other board members, a telephone number.
Yes.
And one of the questions was, and I got to be honest with you, what the person said is, with all the financial problems that the city has, and you're going to get a Lear jet, so I need you. And I know we've said this a couple times already, but I need you to say in front of all these people, and you know, again, not, you know, this is how do I want to put it? Not, you can keep your doctor and you can keep your plan, period. But I need you to say, period, this is not going to cost the city one penny, ever. Because the people of this town need to hear that if they're going to buy into this whatsoever. Because this gentleman told me point blank, to have a Learjet in this town right now with all the other finances is difficult. And so I'm grappling with that. I want to hear what you have to say. But when people are calling me direct, I got to have you say, period, this will cost the city nothing ever, in any way, in any shape, in any form, period.
Now, the girl, like the Jane said that you could give it back.
You could give it back, correct, if it becomes something that would cost the city money.
Right.
And with all the information I have currently, it will not cost the city any money. And
Now, I want to read something.
okay, and after 5 years, it becomes a valuable asset for the airport. Okay?
Relevant criteria, need and usability of requested property, KHZL needs a powerful aviation focal point at the airport that encompasses new airport direction. The Learjet would symbolize the airport's regionalization and improvement perception. Initially, the jet will be used as a reverent static display to recognize the armed forces and the past use of this aircraft in protecting our country. The city intends to repair the aircraft into sound operable condition since the GSAXS's condition report indicates the aircraft is repairable. The KHZL is fortunate to have pilots and maintenance personnel at the airport to repair, operate, and maintain the C-21A aircraft. Once repaired, the jet will be used to further educate students and help train pilots on jet operations. How do you train a pilot if it doesn't move? The city will offer the jet for viewing by the public and more detailed tours to HASD students to help encourage aviation and military careers. The city is in a communication with local colleges to begin flight training course at KHZL, and the acquisition of this Learjet will help this endeavor. All right?
Okay.
Then it's supposed to, the city will use the repaired aircraft as a tool to transport serious, viable businesses to the greater Hazleton regional area to locate new business expansion. I was told by her the only ones that could go in are officials from the city government. Number one. Number two, she did agree with me that it can be used for that purpose as a static display. But she also said if it's going to be used for educational purposes, they had the ability to give it to the college themselves to use that as the students. Number three, she also said anything that is done to that airplane, whether once we sign this paper, I don't care how many donations you say you have, the city is responsible. Your donors could walk out and we're stuck with whatever bills were paid. So we want to know what the expenses are before we go into this venture.
There is, okay, all right. Is that a question or is that a statement?
It's both.
Dominic,
Okay.
yeah, you can answer a question, but I have one other thing too. Have other cities, do you know of any other cities that have done this, or
Yeah, there are.
how are they doing? Are they happy? What other cities, do you know? Have you investigated
Pittsburgh or something.
some other cities that did it?
There is a aviation college in Pittsburgh that is going to be utilizing it to train students on.
They have one, they got one from the GSA.
Correct, yes. Well, they're getting one. They're getting one just like this.
Okay, no, I want to know someone who's gotten one and is happy with it and thrilled and all excited. No?
Yeah, I just saw a dozen of them, and they're sitting as a static display at a museum.
The first time they're doing this, they've been doing this for years, haven't they?
Yes, Jack.
So there must be
all
other
right.
cities who have one.
Jack, the number one goal is to do it as a static display to honor the military.
I understand.
Okay. Number two is to allow it to get students interested. As Lisa from the Department of General Services, the head of that department, she stated that if you wish to stipulate that repairing the aircraft is a secondary option, you could say that in your resolution, and then that will relieve you of any of those concerns about doing any repairs.
Does it, to get it here, how much would that cost?
It's being donated.
You know how much it would be, though? I'm curious.
No, it's donating, so I didn't ask.
Well, I want to know how much. How much donations did you get? I want to know who donated their money to this, too.
They're donating the service.
They're donating the service, yes. It's a service.
So you have a pilot who's going to pilot it.
It's all part of the service,
There's
yes.
also a glitch that the state just ran into today, something to do with the contractor for contracts. The company was taken over by somebody else, so they're in a panic mode themselves. Number one, the donee agrees to apply to the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, for registration of the property, which is intended for flight purposes within 30 days of receipt of the fully executed copy of this instrument. The donee's application for registration shall include a fully executed copy of this instrument. The property shall be placed in use for the purpose stated above, which is flight purpose, no later than 12 months after acquisition thereof, and used for that same purpose for a 12-month period thereafter. This is their agreement.
Yeah, and Jack and I talked with Lisa about that, and she said that that did not mean that we have to have, that the city would have to have it in operable condition.
Yeah, she said there's a primary, the primary use and a secondary use. You could,
Right.
primary use, if you're going to be static, then you don't have to get it to fly, and you don't have to do
But
the
she said
engine.
you also have the option to get it to fly. It doesn't have to stay
Yeah.
static
Okay.
for that 5-year period.
This conditioned, if this resolution will be passed, it could be conditioned, and it could be attached to the agreement, because there is a section in the agreement that states that it is in accordance with the donee's letter of intent dated as amended, and there's an NA in there, but that could be inserted as Resolution 2014-30 as amended, and that could be included in here.
Lisa also asked me, how come you were the one doing this when it wasn't the airport manager? She said, usually because you're a private contractor, because you come under consulting services, that it should be done by the airport manager, and she wanted to know how you got involved. I said, I don't know, he came to us 2 weeks ago. She said, he worked with us for months on this. And she said, you mean you found out 2 weeks ago? I said, yes, at an executive session. I said, that's the first we were made aware of it, and we would like time so that we could see exactly what's going on before we make a decision. I said, are we going to be rushed on this, or do we have time? She says, no, you have the time. The reason she was pushing it was because other people were interested in obtaining it, but they've obtained lots of planes from them before, and the fact that it sat for all these months with nothing happening, it piqued an interest in these parties. So all these months that it sat, we didn't know a word about it. And she thought that was terrible.
They did not give us any indication or any document until the beginning of about 2 days prior to me talking to council in executive session.
John, you've been working on it for 2 months.
There was an application that was submitted.
I know.
That was
Yeah,
it.
but you submitted an application before you came to us to ask us? You submitted an
It was-
application? I admire your initiative.
But she said
But-
you didn't have the ability to do it.
I admire your initiative, but that should be up to us. But I would like to get, if you can get me 2 or 3 other cities that have one, could you get that to me?
They're all over, has static displays in every
Well, if
military
there's any-
museum in the
If there's any
country.
even in Pennsylvania that have them.
Jack, these pieces of equipment are used as museum pieces,
Yeah, I
static
understand.
displays. There are like about 3 of them. There's 3 in Tobyhanna Army Depot right now if you want to go take a look at them.
The hanger?
No, they're standing out, they're sitting outside. I just saw a dozen of them.
And did they get them from the GSA?
Yes.
Okay.
They probably give them to themselves. That's the Army Depot. Again, I'm not sure the process of how military.
I just want to know if a couple other cities got one and they're happy with it, that would help me. That would help me make a decision.
Not to mention, we have a cost if it's gonna be a static display. You said the monument, that's a cost. We don't know what we have in donations. Donations seem to be secret around here, and we would like to know numbers.
Jack made phone calls to the individual handling the donor's money, and
No, I didn't. I didn't talk to anybody.
Okay.
I didn't talk to anybody. Don.
Okay, well,
I did not talk to anybody that
you-
handles money. I didn't talk to Kisland.
you have
He didn't
the-
call me. I know that
Okay.
there was information on one of the donors.
Again, let me just repeat what Jack said before about the
Oh,
idea.
Mayor, do you want to say something? I'll recognize you. Go ahead.
You mentioned somebody's name.
No, I didn't mention a name. I said there is a donor, and
No, you said a
And-
name.
what name did I say?
I'm not repeating.
I didn't hear it.
You did say.
No, I don't think we should.
I didn't say a name.
Okay.
I didn't say a donor's name. I don't know any donors. I remember Chris gave me a name a long time ago. I forgot it. And you were going to get me that.
I gave you a name recently as well, and I can't even remember the name we just talked about. We talked about it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we talked about it, but 6 months ago, or longer, when we had somebody who donated the money, I said we should know about it because it could be a conflict with one of us.
Right, I remember.
And that's why I thought we should know. Okay? Go ahead.
No, I'm just going to reiterate what Jack said, and I do appreciate all of the time and the effort that you put into this.
Yes.
You can understand, however, that there are still some questions. Based on conversations that I haven't had, but what some of the others have had, obviously, with Lisa, I'd like some more information. And you got to understand when I get pressure from constituents, the fear that I've got to have too, and I'm looking for that blanket cost. It's cost nothing, and for that reason, I would like to say that we table this till the next meeting, based on the fact that and it doesn't hurt anything. It doesn't mean no, but it does mean an investigation clearer, so that we know precisely what's going to happen.
Jeff might had a question before we make a motion.
Okay, then I'll hold
Did you
off
have a
on
question?
that.
No.
Did anybody else have a question
I'll
before?
hold off on that.
No, he answered the question I had.
Did you have any questions?
No, he answered what
Okay,
I had.
any other questions?
Then-
He made a motion
Then
to
I'm
table.
going to make a motion to table it, if you don't mind.
I'll
at this
second,
point.
but please get me some information from those other cities.
Will a motion to table it, take it, are they going to just pull it from us?
Well,
Told me no. Dominic, now, if you're going to
Let
if you're going to
Dominic
push
answer.
this,
Let
saying
Dominic
anything.
answer
you're
it.
push this.
I'm not saying anything. I'm going to
Because when you
confirm.
originally told me, I told you I didn't want it on the agenda. We had too much on the agenda. We had the budget. I wanted you to wait.
Jack, understood. We talked to Lisa on the phone.
Yeah.
She said it would be great if it was passed, but if it's going to be tabled, she wants to know when the date is.
The next meeting.
Okay, and
We
when
will
is that?
The 11th,
The 11th.
February 11th.
Okay, is that okay?
I remember she mentioned that
She told me today that she
She
would
talked
wait.
to,
that she's okay with the 11th.
Okay, she's not
the
gonna pressure you anymore because the people are on her who are asking about this plan.
she talked to her today.
all right. So you mentioned to her February 11th,
I
Gene.
didn't give her a date. I said we'd have it at our next meeting. I said, a week and a half, is that fine with you? She said, yeah, I'm not gonna pressure Dominic anymore. I said, okay, fine. That's
Are
exactly
we
what she
okay
said.
for the next meeting?
Not pressuring
The
on
the
this.
only Jack, you were on the phone with me when we did the conference call,
Yeah.
and I was under the impression after when we were discussing it that she felt that the meeting was next Tuesday, and she says, "Oh, that's fine. You can wait till next week to pass this." okay? But she did also say, she said, Jack, or to both of us, if anything pops up, this is a conditional document, this isn't the final issue. If something comes up that you're concerned it's going to cost the city a ton of money or any money that you don't want to spend, you could not go through with the transfer. And also, if during this, just like the agreement says, that if the city does not no longer want it in that 5-year term, that the city could give it back, and then somebody else will gladly come and get it because it is a valuable piece of equipment.
She told me that we could wait, if she wasn't going to push you anymore on this right now, and to take our time, get all the answers. She told me that there was a glitch that they were having, the state was. She gave me Mr. Starr's number, all right, to contact him to talk about what was transpired between you and Mr. Starr as well. So these are the things I'd like to take care of. I'd like to find answers out before we proceed. That's all. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying we don't want it. I'm not speaking for anybody else. I don't feel comfortable unless I know that we have money in place to pay for this thing, all of the things involved. According to them, there was supposed to be, in one of these things I read, it has to be gated with a card that you slide in for security. That's in there somewhere. Yeah, there was some different things provisions that were part of this thing. And I want to see what we have, where we're going with our money before we make any decisions.
Was the bill for it, that wasn't paid yet, the 5,000? We got billed, right?
Yeah,
Steve, you got a bill?
Yeah, there's a bill, but it wasn't paid. The bill was not paid.
Okay, you have a bill. When was it issued, the bill?
I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know.
Just because we approve it doesn't mean we're going to get it. It's upon her decision. She decides whether we get it or not.
She's the one that makes the decision, and she's the one that authorizes contract be sent to the city.
We could sign it.
That really wasn't an invoice. That was a charge that would happen if you signed to accept the jet.
Yeah, a $5,000 charge.
Yeah, that's being covered by a donation.
No. So is our illegal immigration.
Okay. Thank you, Dominic.
No, thank you. Appreciate the questions on this. Thank you.
Looking out for the taxpayers.
Of course, certainly.
That's our job here.
Thank you.
Okay, Dave made a motion to table.
Table.
Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Bast,
Yes.
Cassatt,
Yes.
Mope,
Yes.
Sosar,
Yes.
Mundy.
Yes. Next, Resolution 2014-31, a resolution authorizing the abatement of the nuisance existing upon the property located at 592 McKinley Street.
Presented.
I'll second.
On the question?
Where are we getting the money from?
I know we allocated for CD, but that wasn't going to become due until what, March or April?
March or April.
We have it in last year's CD, but maybe the mayor, in his wisdom, has decided that this is a danger enough to the residents and a nuisance enough that maybe, we could take the money out of there, out of CD money to get it taken care of. I don't know. I don't know. Are you going to sign? Are you going to help these people that I've been screaming for a year, since April?
Jack, who put this on the agenda?
You did.
Jeff did.
Oh, Jeff did.
That's okay.
I don't know.
Well, would you help these people out and maybe sign?
I'm working on the problem.
Yeah, but, okay,
It's a
doing
legal
it that way, Joe.
It's not quiet.
Right. Doing it, Joe.
It's not as easy to go on somebody's property and dig out a cellar and then fill it back in.
Jeff, excuse me.
Okay, go ahead, Jeff. You want to say something?
Where did you, when you put this on, you had money that you knew was realized for it, or?
No, I asked Chris if we could put it on.
There's money available in CD money. We've used this before. We've done it many times. I've been here.
Yes.
I've been here a long time. We've done it before.
Yeah, we set a precedence that we should not have.
Well, I don't think it's a precedent. I don't think there's
Yes, it
people
is.
coming up. This is
Oh.
a special circumstance because it's a hazard. People,
Watch
you know,
the next.
it's a hazard. And the building's down.
Do you have something to say? You shouldn't be
Okay.
talking during this meeting, really.
Okay.
You know, all you do is snipe, snipe, snipe.
Okay,
Stop it.
okay, let's get back to the point. Okay, it's okay. This is on, we're gonna pass it,
Go ahead.
but okay, what we're doing, we're passing this to say we hope something's done. Legally, Chris, where are we at legally with this? And you've expended how much money on it? Remember I asked you to get a total on that?
Yeah, the total was approximately $1,300 and some change.
1,300 so far.
You spent on legal.
More than half of that was with regard to the initial prosecution at the magistrate's office.
Are you any closer to getting something or a judgment or?
I think we are, Jack, actually. We have an ability under Act 90 to actually extradite an out-of-state landlord for certain violations. We're working on that. That's a possibility. You also have a possibility under that same act that we've determined to place a judgment not just against or a lien against the property. Mr. Wolfing was talking about liening that particular property. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. And the reason Act 90 was enacted was because the legislature in Pennsylvania realized that for municipalities like yours, it often isn't effective just to lien a property that isn't worth the lien that's being placed upon it. So it gives you the ability to actually lien other properties that are owned by that individual. In Hazleton proper, she owns, I believe, 10 or 12 properties. There is property in New Jersey, so those are all things that we're pursuing.
Okay, if you're going to keep doing it legally, how much more money do you think you'll spend?
I can't tell you that, Jack, but it's not, this isn't an open checkbook. I'm not trying to spend city money.
I didn't say you were. I didn't say you
frivolously.
were.
I'm being directed by administration to pursue this woman who is obligated to pay for whatever mess we're going to clean up there. And our goal is to recoup that for the taxpayers.
Okay.
Your charges, too.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's our goal.
So what would have cost us to clean up the property?
I haven't gotten an estimate.
We spent 13, I don't think it would have cost us that much. Okay.
Probably cost you more than that.
No. I talked to a couple of contractors. They said no.
Less than $1,300.
Oh, 13,000.
1,300.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said
It's going to
13.
cost less than 1,300?
Okay,
I thought it was
okay, any other
13,000.
questions?
No.
Chris, while we're on this, I know Halo's filing some filings. Are we doing anything? Are you doing anything there?
We're continuing to defend that until you take action.
Have you done it? You haven't filed anything lately, or they haven't filed anything?
There were some discovery motions that took place recently, or some scheduling motions.
Yes. Well,
nothing. It's not been
what
particularly
we'd like you to
active
do
yet.
is not to do much work on it because we're going to make some changes to it. And I talked to Joe Zola, and he says we have to make changes to that and the some of our ordinances because you know what he said? He says he's throwing out. He told me last 3 months he threw out 50 citations because of the problem with the quality of life ordinance, and that's coming from Joe, not me. I know he's meeting with the chief. He's going to come and meet with us too.
In recognition of the conversation that we had about the Halo litigation, I'm only doing what I have an ethical obligation to do to maintain
Okay.
the suit. Once council takes action, I can't just lay down on it.
I know. I know.
That's malpractice.
I know. Okay. Any other questions?
Well,
Jeff,
he's
you want to?
He's told to put a halt on it.
Okay. No questions? Roll call.
What are we doing on this? Tabling it or?
No, well, we're saying it's a nuisance.
Bast?
Yes.
Yes.
Cassatt?
Yes.
Mope?
Yes.
Sosar?
Yes.
Mundy?
Yes.
Now it's officially twice in this.
Okay, that's it for resolutions. Comments from the audience? Dee?
Dee Deacus, Hazleton. I was looking at the budget under the administration, and I noticed there is longevity for the mayor. Under what law, ordinance, whatever, does he qualify for longevity? Because he's an elected official? And that, on the same logic, council members would qualify for...
I sort of agree with that. I saw that where it says employee. Joe, you know what? I saw that in the management thing, and it says employee. You're not an employee, are you?
According to the IRS, I am.
Well, then case...
Well, then, so
No.
So are council members, and you don't have it for
Yeah.
them. It's discriminatory.
Yeah, why don't we get longevity?
Well,
Actually,
you'd get about $13. Or no, $30. I'm sorry. You want it?
No.
No, but that's not the point. Why do you qualify for longevity? That's a bad
Now, what do you
precedent.
get now, Joe? You're over 60 now, right? 61?
Yeah, well, now I'm retired, so I shouldn't get paid.
No, your salary's over 60, right?
Oh, no.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Salary is not.
Your wages are over 60,
Oh, my salary is
Your comp-
57 something.
and your total compensation from the city is over 60. Yes, it is. I have your
It's
2012.
the health.
Joe, you don't know how much you make.
The health.
You made over 60,000 in 2012. Steve? What is he
Yeah.
making in 2013 and 14? It's over 60.
For what?
The mayor.
His salary is 57,881.
And what everything else? Longevity.
all that,
Well, longevity and
Yeah,
health.
what does that bring you up to? It's over 60.
58,560.
$3,000
He
more.
still gets paid less than pretty much most of the
Oh, yeah, well,
police
In
department.
2012, he got $60,000. You want me
Yeah,
to?
so what? I mean, so what's the
don't-
point?
Well, why did you get
What's the
60,000
point?
in 12 and you're getting 57 or
I don't
58
know.
now?
It
Why
says-
is that?
I'm showing 58,560 is what he gets
I
For,
don't know. What
2000 for what year?
for 14. That's what's budgeted for 14.
How about 13?
I don't have that with me.
Okay, but don't worry about it.
Okay, the original question stands. Under what does an elected official get longevity?
That's an executive order, I think. That's what
I didn't think you're allowed to
That's-
set your own salary that way. It should be for the next administration if you're going to look at
That,
raises.
that's been set
control
since
the
like
meeting.
1990 or
Okay.
something like that. When the mayor's
didn't
salary's
have
been set
longevity.
since.
I don't think
Since the
I'm
90s.
not sure. I don't think Barletta got it.
Yeah, he did.
No.
Didn't he?
Huh?
Yes, he did.
Yes, he
Yes,
did.
he did, Jack.
I'm pretty sure he
You
did.
must have checked his W-2, didn't you? No.
No,
Why?
he did get longevity.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
Well, the question still remains, under what law?
he did get longevity. You're right, Joe.
Because
It was
you
whatever.
can't be...
It was whatever council
Whatever,
passed
Jack.
at the time for the contract.
So
for the
where
mayor.
is there a resolution or
that is
ordinance that
not-
gives longevity to the mayor?
Keith, that's not in the original. The original one for compensation that was passed, it didn't have anything about longevity in there. I know that.
I don't know when it was put in then.
Serving on administration that we just got.
It says you're entitled when you're an employee, and also the.
We can't fire the mayor, so how is he an employee?
Also, it says for the he gets paid the health care. He gets paid $3,000 extra because you don't take health care, right, Joe? Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Yes, he does, Steve.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
Health.
You want to bet? Steve, does he get health care? $3,000?
That, I think that's in, since he declines health care.
Yeah, he gets. Well, he doesn't
No,
get health care.
no,
he
the
gets
question
stipend.
was, Jack, question was, do I get health?
No, you get.
What's the
stipend.
answer to that
Okay.
question?
Excuse me. You get
The answer to that
stipend.
question is no.
You get the stipend. $3,000.
Twist your words.
You get the stipend.
No, you get for not taking it.
$3,000, and that helps. That saves us money.
Right,
I know.
$3,000, what does that get you in health care?
I know. That's what you help
Nothing.
us. That's a help to us.
Okay, back to the original point. If you're not an employee because you cannot be fired, how therefore are you under an employee management contract because you're not really an employee? You may get paid, but employees can be fired, and I haven't seen an ability to do that. I'm sure voters wish they could. Thank you.
Go ahead, next.
John Keegan, Hazleton. I'd like to direct you to Chapter 30 of the Home Rule Law, Section 3002 and 3003. The position First off, let me say this. My experience over the past few years of coming down to this council and hearing remarks from people, citizenry, is that they haven't realized that we have changed our form of government, the way that we do things. We have an executive mayor and we have a legislative branch. We don't have the old style council where the mayor was part of it and we go back to the old ways. I believe the bickering that was going on in council was one of the reasons why they decided to change this government, because they didn't like what was going on. So I would point you to Section 3002, and that the position of controller is now elected, not appointed. And it has to be done, and Section 3003 states that it has to be done by the term of 4 years, and let me get this. An elected controller by the electors at a regular municipal election. So can someone tell me under what authority you have a rule in this council, and when you put the items on this agenda, it's supposed to be approved by the solicitor before it's gone on
John,
here?
it was done before. A controller was put in place.
That was before we had a change of government, Jack.
No, it wasn't. It was after the change of government.
Well, if it was, then it was illegal. It's specific in a code.
They set a precedent.
They didn't set any precedent.
Can't set a precedent in law.
I rob a bank and I get away with it. Is that set a precedent, Jack?
Yeah.
So you just decided to add $32,000 to the taxpayer. You added another $32,000 with an illegal solicitor, and you're trying to tell us that you're saving the taxpayers' money?
Yeah.
Yes. That's fuzzy math.
Well,
that's real fuzzy math.
we don't give out raises
Well,
like you did.
I'm telling you that this controller position is illegal. The code states it's illegal, and you need to get
Charlie,
a ruling
you
on
address
that.
We'll have Charlie address that. Go ahead.
Charlie's opinion doesn't matter to me.
Well,
Please. I'm
okay,
sorry, Charlie. Okay?
well,
Because
it
his
matters.
opinion is the one that holds up.
Well, go ahead, Charlie. You can say something.
Well,
Go
then your
ahead.
opinion doesn't matter, does it, Mr. Keegan?
What I said was his opinion doesn't matter because the
Okay.
code says it's the solicitor.
Okay.
You could have him opine all you want. It won't hold up in court. Okay. It's his ruling that holds up. So we're paying for an extra solicitor for no reason at all, Jeannie. None.
Okay.
None.
Okay.
Did you choose yours?
Okay, go ahead, Charlie. You want to say something?
Yes, because we're the executive and the legislative branch.
You chose yours, and you have yours attending your meetings, right?
How much
Not
did
all
you
the
save
time.
over the last
Not
one?
all the time.
99%.
We'll talk about that. The last solicitor cost us $133,000. I've practically cut that down by 40%.
I'm not complaining, I'm just asking, has your solicitor...
You're talking mixing apples and oranges. I'm a municipal authority under the Municipal Authorities Act. You have to operate under your laws. I operate under mine.
Okay, come on.
You had the privilege of your solicitor attending your meetings. We didn't. Excuse me.
You don't need a solicitor here. You have 3 readings for an ordinance to pass. Just as you did tonight with your budget, you could go back to the solicitor, get your legal opinion.
Coach Perry, when he made that same statement...
I didn't coach Perry at all.
Yeah, right.
You are the guys that all work like the Patchtown gang. That's what you are.
Thank you,
Okay,
John.
Charlie, you want to address that briefly? Yeah, so we can finish.
Council Plan B.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you look under section 3031 of the Home Rule Charter, the same chapter that he's referring to.
Yeah.
That says that our chapter will be known as the Executive Mayor Council Plan B, and shall, together with subchapter F of chapter 29 and subchapter A of chapter 30, subchapter A of chapter 31. So we have to refer back to chapter A, okay? And under that, it says officers and employees, each municipality under this subchapter shall be governed by an elected council, and it does say that an elected treasurer, an elected controller, and by other such officers and employees as may be duly appointed. If you refer to our local ordinance,
It does sense in going on here right now.
well, just to
Go ahead, yeah, just to go ahead.
Under our ordinance, and I'm looking at, I don't know if anybody has a copy of our administrative ordinance. It's under 431. It provides for a controller. That council can't hire a controller, which then refers to section 3151 of the code, which states that selection of a controller under any of the optional plans set forth, B is one of them, which we are, except for the plans set forth in subchapter F, which relates to the county plan, the office of controller may be omitted or it may be filled by election or by the electors rather than
By election.
It can be appointed. If the office of controller is to be filled by appointment, a controller shall be appointed for an indefinite term by a majority of the members of the governing body who is
And we're
counted.
the governing body.
Okay.
The only problem is that section doesn't apply to you.
Why doesn't that apply?
That's in the
Because
charter.
if you look at, we talked about this earlier, actually, you and I were talking about it sidebar, and the section 3151 doesn't apply according to the enabling provision. So,
It says that we would refer to Chapter A, and Chapter A states that it shall be known as the Executive Mayor Plan A, and together with the laws applicable to that class of municipality. 3151 states that under any of the optional plans except for F. Therefore, that chapter applies to A. B refers to A, which means we can use this provision.
we're going to have to agree to disagree for now. We can,
Okay.
we'll address
Okay,
it.
we'll,
I mean, that's...
okay, any other questions from the audience?
Charlie Ziegler from Hazleton, Harrison Street. I'm really getting sick and tired of pleading with the city about abandoned cars and illegal dumping. The last meeting I was here, the chief of police asked me for a list of the cars. I gave him a list, I gave council a list, I gave the mayor a list. Not one vehicle has been touched. There are cars laying on the street, the guys are plowing, they're in the way for a year already. Illegal dumping all around the northeast section. Nobody sees it. Come up to my house, I'll take you for a ride. I'm sick and tired of looking at it.
Charlie, Rick, can't we have one of our towers tow it and take them to an impound and whatever? What? What's that? Or on
They're
the
not
street.
all on the
So
street.
what?
The police department got a list of the cars.
What do you mean?
Half are on the street, half are on private property.
Okay.
The,
Some are on
the
private
chief of
property?
police told me if they're on the street illegally, he says, I'll tow them immediately at the last council meeting. I gave him a list of all the cars 2 weeks ago this past Friday. Not one car has been touched. The one car is going on its first anniversary of getting parking tickets that they're that thick. How many tickets does it take to tow a car?
Rick, I thought that if a car is on the street, it would eventually get an abandoned.
The abandoned stickers wore off of them already.
And if it's abandoned sticker, that thing should have been towed a while back by the city, should it not? Especially by the police. Somebody has to put that abandoned sticker on it.
The abandoned stickers wore off. That's how long they're there.
No,
And the
but-
ones
but-
on
but
private property, they're not touched.
That's what I'm saying, they should have been moved by then.
The ones on private property have not been touched. Yeah, 10 years one car's been laying. 10 years.
Well, the mayor, you could address him if you like. If
The
you
garbage,
want-
what about the garbage down on Columbus Avenue? Is that not a city street? The garbage bags are piled up. It's a city playground 1 block away. There's a car sitting there, stripped, sitting on cinder blocks.
pass
Is that what the kids are going to play in this
Pete,
summer?
pass that. That's the list.
What's
Pass
the
that to mayor.
question? You want me to,
Pass that.
you want me
I
to
don't,
check it
whoever
out?
wants to answer the question, all I'm
What
here
was
is
the
to get it
question?
resolved.
That's
Your
the
question was, is that where the kids are gonna play in that car?
Yeah, is that where they're gonna
Well,
play?
no. The answer's no.
Well, then when are we
No,
going to
give it
move
to the
these
mayor.
cars?
I thought
Well,
he
I'm
gave
gonna
that
check
to us.
on it.
You told me last time you were going to check
No,
on
I
it.
didn't tell you anything.
Yes, you did.
No, I did not.
You
I
said
never-
you gave it to the proper authorities.
There, give that to, give Joe, that's the list that the
have the
chief
list.
has. You have the list, well, you should tell the
have the
chief
list.
to fix it.
have
Why
the
can't
list.
he? I know the chief's
He was
busy.
working on the list.
He has other
I
things
don't
on
know
his
what happened
mind.
after that.
That's the
can't
whole
the chief-
problem. Everybody's got everything on their
Joe,
mind. Thank
Joe,
you.
Joe, why can't the chief do that? Why can't he take care of those cars? Is it
I
a
don't know,
problem?
I can't speak for the chief, he's not here.
Well, you're his boss. Why don't
Yeah,
you
and
tell
I'll
him?
check it out.
Well,
I'll
why don't
make
you tell him
sure,
to take care of those cars?
I'll make sure he's doing something for.
Okay.
And the illegal dumping, that's just getting ridiculous. I mean, what are we going to have, rats the size of dogs this summer in Hazleton? It's
The
just
answer's
getting
no.
ridiculous.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Hi, Chris Puza, St. Charles Drive, Hazleton. Thanks for the opportunity. I just wanted to ask a question referring to Resolution 2014-27 regarding the legal counsel. I know the previous meeting, when this was first put on the agenda, I had come up and spoken in regards to it. At that time, Ms. Mope, as again stated tonight, that myself and Mr. Perry have used legal counsel in the past.
You had the ability to use it. You had the advisor. It
Okay.
was there. I had the
Right.
paper. I don't have it with me tonight. I'll bring it for you and give it to you personally.
No, I'm aware we had an advisor. That was a precedent set in 1996. I was just on council a few years ago, so I really don't think that was relevant to myself.
Your name was on the list.
Correct, because they were relevant. The relevance is that they were available to us. We were smart enough never to use and double bill taxpayers.
You were smart enough and you should have used a legal advisor because we don't have a solicitor that attended our meetings. You did. And that's the difference. You had a solicitor. We flew by the seat
There's
of
no
our
reason
pants.
to yell, Ms. Mope.
No, there isn't.
I'm a
But
taxpayer and I don't need to be badgered.
we flew by the seat of our pants, Mr. Puzo. And you yourself knows from sitting in a chair up here how difficult it is to do any type of business for the city without the help of a city solicitor. We put ourselves in jeopardy. You didn't. You had the pleasure of having your own city solicitor here.
And that's one thing I think when we were on council, we did appreciate having a solicitor. And as I look tonight, we have a solicitor sitting here. There's a reason why we have a legal advisor sitting here, double billing the taxpayers. Because one of the things is, I mentioned last time, we didn't want it to be a second opinion. And Jack, you assured me, it's not council's member. You were quoted in the standard speaker as saying, it's nice to have a second opinion.
It's nice to have the two people work together. And you know why? You know why we have a solicitor here tonight? Because of that man sitting in that chair. Do you think if we didn't put one on, a solicitor would be here?
I think if we called
you're
it,
wrong.
I'm
You're wrong.
going to disagree with you on that.
We never had the appearance on a steady basis and the promise for him to appear at our meetings until this man sat in that chair.
And I respectfully disagree with you with that, because when I sat on council, council worked together. We had a solicitor here. Excuse me, Ms. Mope. I'm just trying to speak politely.
Go ahead, Chris.
We had a solicitor here, we had the mayor here, and we didn't have a lot of the arguing that goes on. Right now, as a taxpayer came up, I'm speaking politely, I'm speaking professionally and respectfully, and Ms. Mope has to raise her voice and badger a taxpayer. I've seen badgering go on tonight, and I feel that people don't have, not even necessarily the right to come up here and speak, it's they don't want to come up and be badgered. I've seen employees be badgered, employees being disrespected. We have elected officials that are being told to basically...
Wait, Chris, back up. What employees have been disrespected, or what are you talking about?
Throughout the times I've come here, I've seen Fallon come up here and try to address council, and I've seen Ms. Mope raise her
The only time
voice.
I spoke to Fallon was when she came up for a job, and I did ask her some questions to find out if she was qualified. After that, I did not badger her, or I have no problem with the way she's performing at work, and I never said anything. I only talked to her
Jack,
once.
and I wasn't accusing you by no means.
It was
And I
only one
wasn't.
time, and I just asked her some questions.
Yeah.
I've never...
Right,
I've
but I wasn't accusing you by no
I've never
means.
had any conversation since with her, except she did come here and answer some questions, and it was fine.
But I've seen our chief of police come up to this podium, and voice has been raised at him. I mean, he is our chief of police, and we should treat him with respect. Okay. I think one of the things is just getting back to the resolution. Tonight we're looking here, and we're being double billed, and the taxpayers are unfortunately having to pay for that.
It's unfortunate that we're double billed, but if we wouldn't have hired that, Chris would not be here if not for him, and I know that. And Chris is here at the whim of the mayor, not us. Not us. He never came. I wanted him to be at every meeting. Okay, well, maybe Keith did too, but I don't know. He had no voice. You said you wanted Chris at every meeting? Well, did Chris know that?
I believe he did.
Well, he didn't come, so he didn't listen to you. So...
And I just thought it was put in a standard speaker, that it was quoted in a standard speaker. Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, that if council called Chris that he was needed at a meeting, he would in fact come. Did anybody ever reach out and call
I wanted him to be at every meeting. And at the meetings here, I would tell Jimmy, I said, listen, we need Chris here, call him on the phone. I asked him to call him on the phone.
I had personal conversations with Chris Slesser. I literally begged him to attend the meetings. I understood his position, and I wasn't going to put him in a position where it was awkward for him with his relationship between the mayor. So we left it go. I wasn't going to do that to him. But out of frustration and out of flying by the seat of our pants, Mr. Puza, is why we decided and elected to put an advisor on. This way, Mr. Chris Lesser wasn't compromised or put in a position that was awkward for him, although we needed him.
I guess my biggest question is, I'm just not sure why the taxpayers have to be double billed for something. If you knew Mr. Slusser was going to be here tonight, and I'm glad he is, because he was a valuable asset when I was on council. He gave us great legal representation, and at the end of the day, the only opinion that truly matters is Mr. Slusser's. We're paying $32,500.
Well,
I'm just sorry. Just can I finish?
It may come to that maybe we alternate. That's down the road. We'll think about that. That's a good suggestion, Chris.
Could
I
just
appreciate it.
And that's, I mean, we're here to, your number one concern, you said, is to save taxpayers' dollars. You know, Mr. Sosar, I have a lot of respect for as well, says, you know, we got to look out financially. And I think that as a taxpayer, I like to be looked at financially. As a previous councilman,
We were at risk when Chris wasn't here. I know we did things that were wrong. I absolutely know we did things that weren't right.
Jack
because
and
we
I-
didn't have Chris. And if somebody's going to sue us over an ordinance, where do you save money then?
Could I ask you a question on that? And because
Yeah.
that's a great point. That's I'm sitting here tonight.
Yeah.
We have Mr. Slusser, who wrote a legal opinion as our city solicitor, our appointed city solicitor, against having a legal advisor. Yet council, 3 votes to 2, one of yours being that yes vote, went against our city solicitor, who is our legal representation. Why have the city solicitor here, as you're desperately saying you want, when, in fact, we're not even listening to his legal opinion? Mr. DeCosmo and Mr. Kukoski's opinion doesn't really necessarily mean anything, because they are not our solicitor.
Chris didn't show up to most of the meetings for the year, and I wasn't expecting him to show up to any meetings. He only showed up now because the mayor maybe has told him to come. So he's at the whim of the mayor. And we can't depend on that, Chris. You can't depend on the mayor deciding to send the solicitor when he feels like it to a meeting.
But I'm asking necessarily for the vote tonight, when our solicitor gave a legal opinion as our solicitor, which you value. You just said you value.
Yeah.
We voted against his legal opinion. Is there a reason why we couldn't at least put this on hold, table it, to get some further clarification?
We're going around in a circle here, and let me
Go
just
ahead,
suggest one
Dr.
thing.
Sosa.
We're going around in a circle here, and even as we speak, even as we've been going through this evening, I don't know if you've seen it, but I've seen the 2 gentlemen go back and forth a number of times to check on ideas and on parts of legislation. One of the things that I'm sure both men would also tell you is that unfortunately, interpretation of the law, and I know that we've got to eventually bow to Chris's, but there is different interpretations of the law, and if nothing else, it's good for us to hear what these gentlemen are telling us. Now, eventually, we've got to make some decisions. But one of the things that I want to make sure that we're all covered, and that's called errors and omissions, and I'm sure you understand that very well, Mr. Puza, because you had to worry about it when you sat in that chair over there. And that's one of the things that I think every one of us here at this table are very much concerned with. We want to do what's right for the people of this town and for the people who are the employees of this city. But I want to know what is legal and what is not. And I'll do anything that I can at this point to try to find that on out. I don't think I think we're spinning wheels right now.
And I
can
agree.
appreciate
Yeah,
everything
and
that
I
you
agree.
have to say.
I think it's just
really
as a
do.
taxpayer,
Okay?
we're concerned,
And I understand.
and that's one of the things.
I understand that.
And the whole thing with transparency and wanting to do what's right, what's wrong.
Right.
We actually had the law offices, Skokoski and DeCosmo, come up here and represent as legal counsel tonight. Do you guys know you've asked him 3 times for a legal opinion prior to voting on this resolution? Do you realize that's against the law?
Mr. Puza, man, I'm not meaning to be rude with you, but while you sat on this council, when I was here, because I went to meetings before, I never heard this much conversation come out of your mouth while you sat on this council table. All I ever heard out of you basically was yes, yes, yes. And tonight, that's what it looks like you're doing to me here at this meeting, pandering to the administration once again.
I'm not badgering. I was just pointing out the finances to taxpayers.
This the last time you came here at the meeting, and all you did was give an opinion, which is fine. Everybody's entitled to it, and it doesn't have to agree with ours. And that's fine, and we want to hear your opinion. But you keep going on, and all you're worried about is saving taxpayers' money. Well, you weren't worried about saving taxpayers' money when you sat on council, and I saw some of the decisions you made.
Ms. Mope, I definitely have to disagree with you there because you sat in a room with me, with our administrator at the time, for 3.5 hours as I sat and tried to cut the budget. I offered, at that time, at least a dozen suggestions, and I know myself and the mayor had gone back with it because we disagreed on some of them. That night, after you were elected, you provided 0 options.
The night I was elected and I came up for my first budget meeting, my suggestions was cut the administration's salary. That was my first suggestion.
I'm just saying that night, but don't say I didn't try to cut taxes because that was my #1 concern.
Well, we've caught up. It took a while, but now we've made them now. So we have a lot of catching up to do, Chris.
No. All right. I thank you for your time.
Thank
I
you,
wasn't
Chris.
trying to be disrespectful. It's just we do have a contract with Attorney Slusser.
Thank you.
That contract isn't going to change.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Grace Kuzo, Hazleton. Everybody's got a problem with already getting hired. Now, the controller position, when it was formed back in '96, was allowed to be appointed. If the law has changed, what happens to the fact that we have got that position there and it was formed at the time that it was legally allowed to be an appointed position? Just a legal question. That's just a question I'd like to throw out. I don't really care if you answer me or not. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you need someone to have oversight here. Money is being spent. You have a contracting engineer seeking an airplane. What would ever possess someone who's just a contractual employee without being given direction to do something like that? My next question to you all is, how are you allowing Mr. Hahn, and Steve, it is not personally, because I personally like you, but his name came, yes, that's exactly right. His name came before council, and he was voted down. How are you paying him? Plus, he also violates state law because he does not live in the city, and you need special permission to reside out of the city. Now, tell me how you're paying $75,000 for that law being broken. Explain it to me.
Okay. Thank you, Grace. Thank you very much. Who's next?
Hi, Judy Urcho, Hazleton. I just have a couple questions. Steve, you did say the balance. We are in the budget. We are in the black, correct?
I didn't say anything.
The mayor did. The mayor, we're in the
Why are you
black. Is that what
asking
you?
me? I didn't-
No,
I
the mayor
didn't say
said
anything.
we're in the black.
I didn't say
heard him.
anything.
But when
No,
last.
Steve didn't say anything. The mayor
Okay,
said we're in the black.
I just have, see, I've been here, like, I try to get as many council meetings as I can. And I remember back in October, I asked if the budget was balanced. Yes. I asked in November, was the budget balanced? Yes. We had no problem. We were in the black and everything else. Then came December. And then came the mayor threatening jobs right around Christmas,
You
you
didn't ask me if...
Oh, yes, I did.
You did not ask me in October if the budget was going to be balanced on December 31st. You asked...
I asked if they were going to be, I said, that we're on, and you said, yes, we are on target to be balanced. How many people were here at that meeting? There was
So what's your point?
What's the point?
The point is, like,
What's the point?
you guys, for 1 minute, you guys say the ballot, the budget's balanced.
The mayor just wanted to scare everybody.
No.
When you
No.
threaten jobs, that upset me.
No, we
because
said-
I'm a taxpayer, okay?
You want
All
to
right,
hear the
I am a
answer?
taxpayer. I own my home, okay, and I pay taxes. So basically, you work for me, okay, and everybody else that's sitting here, and everybody who elected you,
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
So what I want to know, okay?
Close to the mic.
I'm sorry.
Back off.
Oh, excuse me, Judy, it's on the floor. Put
That's okay.
that little,
There.
that'll stop that from doing that.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I addressed that with them.
I-
I know. That's why we're hiring a controller.
That was my point. This
Yeah.
is
One
my
minute
point.
we're here, 1 minute we're there. Who knows?
You
where we
guys
are.
can't.
Never were you anywhere but in the black till they did not approve in December.
The SOAR bill that you
Storm.
said, or the
That's
storm.
right.
Okay.
Then we ran out of money.
Okay, but you keep saying that you're here for the people. No one wanted that storm. You are
That is not mine.
the storm.
No, you should come to more meetings.
I've
That
been
was
to-
not.
I've been to
I
the-
haven't been to all of them, but I know that.
Joe, wait a minute.
No.
Oh.
I'm tired of you.
Wait a minute.
This is comments from the audience, and all we're getting is badgered.
No,
from
I
this
just-
group.
I want you to
this
clarify.
group here belongs to you.
No,
and that's
no.
one
Hey,
after
listen.
another after another.
Excuse me, Mr.
And
Mayor?
all they do is insult.
Excuse me.
It's like, why do
Excuse
I have
me.
to listen to that? She's not making sense.
Miss-
Because she doesn't know all the facts.
Mr. Mayor, can you allow me to speak since I am? Okay? First of all, I don't belong to anyone, okay? I have my own mind and my own decisions that I make up. What I am sick and tired of is taxes. You guys have not done anything to bring any new business in here. And a robotic garage, which wasn't going to employ anyone, is ridiculous, okay? You have another garage that's falling apart in Hazleton. You have grants that were given to companies.
Can I just tell you that there's going to be $1.6 million put in that garage that's falling apart? And why is it falling apart?
Because it's never been maintained.
Why?
Because the city did not do it.
No.
The parking authority.
Parking
authority.
Which they kept. I wanted to dissolve it and turn it into the city, and it would have been improved. But no, they took the parking garage to
Mr. Mayor?
authority, took it back, jeopardized the deal that is about to happen, and that was because the parking authority did not repair that garage.
Let me just say one thing. If you cared at all, you would have been at every single meeting. And I'm sorry. I wouldn't believe anything that came out of your mouth if your tongue was notarized. I am sorry, but you have run this city into the ground.
Have I really? Are we in the black or with a surplus?
Well, I don't know.
Oh,
He said he doesn't know.
You don't
He
know.
said he doesn't know.
knows.
I've asked.
They know. They just took a surplus and put it into the budget. Where did they get that money from?
Stop the tax increase.
Where is it?
From increasing tax.
You had in.
So there's a surplus.
How much of a wait? How
there
much,
hasn't been a surplus in decades.
how much of a tax increase were you saying?
Decades.
How much of a tax increase were you planning to do?
Pardon?
How much of a tax increase this year were you planning on doing?
What was the
How many tax increases?
What was the tax increase?
113,000. It was point. I thought you originally told me it was 503,000. Now it's 613. That's the
What?
five.
What are you talking about?
The tax increase was what? 613,000.
Yeah, 613,400.
When?
The millage tax increase. Yeah, now that you proposed, that we voted down.
Oh, you voted down the increase.
Yeah, the increase was.
The increase.
We dropped.
113,000.55 mils.
We dropped
5.5.
the storm and put the 500.
I know.
600 in.
I know it was.
Okay.
The
it was
tax.
point-
What I'm
0.55 mils, wasn't it?
0.55.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to tell you, Mr. Mayor, is the taxpayers of the city
Yeah.
are tired of getting taxed. We're tired. Find another solution to bring money in here, and it's not by getting.
Let me just say something. There hasn't been a tax increase in 37 years.
Really? My
Yeah.
taxes went up last year.
No, last year, but in 37 previous years, how could you get tired of something that never happened?
How could you tax people
Tired
to
of
death?
something that never happened. So you're really not in
The
Reassessment for rose taxes. Yeah, we did, Judy. I know. I know.
Yeah,
Okay.
When did that happen? 2 years
Okay.
ago.
Okay.
Oh, Mr. Mayor. Okay. Well, I'm done.
Thank you.
Judy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judy. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay. Wow. Mark Rabo, Hazleton. For McKinley Street, I just want to say thanks for trying. And Mr. Mayor, there was a precedent set back, your predecessor set it back there's an example that I have from 2009 where a building at 128 to 130 East Broad Street was damaged by a nearby fire, and your predecessor used block grant money to demolish that property and then went after that owner and then recouped the money. So
No, he did not.
Yes, he did. I have the article right in front of me.
I don't think he recouped the money.
2000, published August 15, 2009, Citizens Voice, condemned buildings to be removed in time for Hazleton's annual Fun Fest.
And you said he recouped the money.
It says right here that Mary Ellen Leib, who was the administrator at the time, acting administrator, would go after the property owner to recoup the money once the buildings were demolished, and the buildings were demolished.
And she got the money, you said.
Well, according to
Doesn't
this
say
article,
that.
According to this article,
Doesn't say that. It says
that she would go.
She would go after the money.
So
she didn't recoup the money.
Well, she said she would go after the owner to recoup the money. So
In the recoup, the building's down.
after the building was down, she said that she would go and recoup it. Okay. If let's see here.
128.
128 to 130 East Broad Street, right next to where the Powell Furniture Building was, or right between. No, it's between the Powell and the Henrys. Yeah. Well, they recouped that money though.
No, she paid for it.
We've done it before, though, Mark. We've cleaned up
Well,
buildings or knocked down buildings, absolutely.
Even if, for the McKinley Street, if you couldn't do it with the community block grants, there's still the redevelopment authority that could have done it using eminent domain to go in there because you said it was a legal matter that you couldn't go onto the property. So the redevelopment authority does have the right by state law, which I have it right here, 35 Pennsylvania statute, substatute 1712.1.
So does
blighted property.
So does the city of Hazleton have eminent domain?
Okay, yes, you're right, because
Yeah,
you
we could
used
do
it.
How long do you think that's going to take?
Well, it says right here that the redevelopment authority could have used the CD money because
Yeah,
you
they
don't
could,
want
they
to
could
use the CD
still
money.
take it eminent domain, but how long do you think that's going to take?
Well,
That
it would
has
have
to go
taken
through the
less
court.
time than it would have taken for the
and more money.
legal.
No, we don't want to eminent domain it. We just want to clean the property up, Joe, and declare an emergency and put a lien on the building.
But the redevelopment authority could have used
Because
money.
my predecessor did something doesn't mean I have to set the precedence again and again.
Well, then
That
fine. You
was
don't have
wrong.
to, Mr.
Not
Mayor.
wrong. It was a good idea to do that, but now we have that kind of money that we have to spend on every house that's burnt down.
Mr. Mayor, you didn't have to do it. Nobody's saying you had to do it. You could have used the redevelopment authority could have done it and used their funding from the state.
Where do they get funding from?
The state and the federal government through the block
Redevelopment.
grant. Yes.
They get it from CD. Same thing.
Yeah, CD
Borrowed
and
money.
NSP money
Borrowed
and
money.
home grant money.
They don't have that.
Yes, they do. They can get it. And also, you let the Blighted Properties Committee expire. I went to the county solicitor last week, and he said to me that they never received such an request for authorization to go onto those properties. And Mr. Pedri said to me that for the person or persons on the Blighted Properties Committee to send him request again, but since the Blighted Properties Committee is now defunct, it's not inactive.
Yes.
It's not around. And also, with regards to the redevelopment authority, the city engineer is the executive director of the redevelopment authority, and he hasn't been to hardly any meetings, according to one of the people that I talked to at City Hall, and Steve was with me. Yes. Well, Donetta Williams disagrees with you on that.
Well, you can check the minutes.
Okay, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah.
But anyway.
No, you just come up here and make statements.
No.
Like somebody told you.
No.
Go check the minutes. Didn't say that he wasn't at a meeting.
Well, then why don't you put the minutes on the City Hall website?
Okay.
We're
That's
gonna
not
do
my
that.
job.
We're going to do that.
They are.
That's why there should be.
Maybe not redevelopment.
Oh, you know what, Mark? We're going to get all the organizations, the sewer, water, redevelopment. We're going to put them all on the internet.
Okay, don't you think you should reinstate the Blighted Properties Committee? Because under that same redevelopment authority law, it requires that the Blighted Properties Committee be active, because the redevelopment authority cannot be valid or
Mark, this
work.
is the first time I'm hearing of it when you told me, but we're gonna revive that, right, Mayor? The Blighted Properties Committee, we're gonna revive that or get that going again.
That was part of it. They're just inactive right now.
Okay, but we'll get it going
I don't
again.
know if the members are still want to serve.
Well, we'll find new members. Okay, yeah, we'll get that going again, Mark.
All right, and as far as the airport goes, getting the airplane, I mean, even if it doesn't cost anything, not one single penny, it still anchors us to that airport. I mean, just like those hangars anchor us to that airport. I mean, don't you think the money, and getting back to taxpayer, money better spent, don't you think it would be better to either sell the airport to a private company and then tax that company in terms of the taxes? Or wouldn't it be better served that we actually, talk to whatever grant authority that still that we still are obligated to, forgive us from that grant? Or, I first of all, I haven't seen any grants that the city's still under obligation for that airport. So why do we still put up with that airport?
The grant is obligated, or the airport is obligated to the FAA for grants they've given us throughout the years.
Okay, well...
So you would have to pay back those grants if you sell the airport.
There is a forgiveness period. Between 15 and 20 years, depending on what the grant is. I could check with the FAA. And
we just redid the lights with a grant from the FAA, right?
Okay, so then that anchors us even more to the airport.
We're in the process of extending the runway to a grant.
So we're extending grants for an airport that we've owned since 1957 that has never made a dime.
And this year? And this year?
And this year, I haven't gotten the numbers from Steve, so...
Well, maybe you should get them.
Well, I'll be glad to look at it.
You should get them.
But since 1957...
And next year, make sure you get them.
I will definitely do that.
Then all those previous years won't count.
Really? Since 1957?
Yeah, because we were not the fixed base operator of that.
But the city owned it.
But we were not the operator.
The taxpayers
property,
funded that
they were
airport.
the operator, they kept whatever profits. Now we are the operator. Now we have turned it into a profit-making operation.
But still, it's funded by taxpayers.
In the last 2 years. So don't compare the last 2 years with years
he's
before.
right, Mark. A fixed operator had it, and it was different.
Okay, fine, but we're still, city taxpayers are funding a business run by a city.
No, we're not.
It is. If you call matching funds, because those grants don't they have matching funds
Some
from
are
the
matching,
city?
some are 10%, some are.
Okay, so
but we haven't used the grant in a long time now.
So
when
where
we
do-
get the runway.
So where do those matching funds come from?
What do you mean? Where do they come from? They come from tax money. Yeah.
There you
sure.
go.
Or
So
they could come from
taxpayers are-
CG money. That's just tax money.
So there
every
you go.
money we have is tax money. So no matter what we do, it's tax money.
Okay.
But that airport is now sustaining itself.
Well, until I see this year's numbers, then I'll
Maybe you
believe
should
it.
check it.
But until then, since 1957, it has never made a dime.
Okay, thanks.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks.
Rick. Thank you. Hello.
Steve Bislocki, Carson Street, Hazleton, Pennsylvania, resident of Hazleton my whole life. I've been living on Carson Street for 7 years, 1008 Carson Street. And now today, there's been a sign there right up from 22nd Street on the right-hand side. If you're going up 22nd Street South, there's a sign, no parking. Now we're receiving tickets there. Where do you want us to park? The street's 33 and a half feet wide, which you could fit 5 cars across it. There should be parking on both sides of the street.
Was that just put up, or when was it put up?
It's been up 30 years. My father-in-law lived there 50. They put it up one year during a snowfall, and they never took it down.
So it shouldn't be there?
I don't believe so. The street's 34 feet wide.
Okay, where is it at, Steve?
22nd and Carson.
Talking about a snow ban?
No, I'm talking about a regular street ticket.
No,
Not the snow ban.
I mean a no parking
No,
sign?
there's a no parking sign there for, I have no idea why. Now they're issuing tickets, $25 tickets.
On 22nd Carson?
22nd and Carson, 1008. It's right in front of my house.
Did Rick go? Maybe you could have Rick
I
check it
called
out.
up Mr. DeAndre. I was
I'll
hoping
have
he
the
would be
police
here.
check it out.
And he had a policeman call me and tell me to report here.
We'll go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, because I'm not familiar with it, but we were going to talk. Does it give any justification? Don't park till the corner? Don't.
No,
park
it just
here?
says
Is
no.
there a
If you
street
go down,
sweeping? It just says no
here's
parking.
okay. The streets or the houses are 8 numbers apart. 1,000 Carson Street's here, 1008's right next door. Right in between our houses, there's a sign going. If you're looking, it would be south. Okay, if you're looking south towards downtown.
Right.
And it's right there. But then if you go up Carson Street another 2 blocks on the opposite side of the street, the east side of the street,
Right.
there are signs that say don't park there. Okay, I measured the street tonight. It's like 34 feet wide from curb to curb. That's plenty. Your average car is 6.5 feet wide.
And that street down there is both ways, if I remember
Correct.
correctly, right? Yeah.
Correct.
So there shouldn't be a problem. You should be
Well,
able to
they're
park
issuing tickets
on
there.
either side there, Mayor. I'm only familiar with close down there because that's
Yeah, I
where the
wish the
folks
chief
live.
was here too, but
Well, I
get-
called. I left a
But
message
maybe
for
we
him to
can
call
take
me
care of
back.
that.
He didn't call me back, and he had a police officer call me to report down here.
Okay,
But
thank
so I
you.
live there.
Yeah,
You know,
we'll
something
take a look
needs to
at
be
it.
done.
We'll definitely look into it and
All right,
try
I
to-
appreciate
try
it.
to get rid of it.
You know what, in case we don't hear or you don't hear.
Oh no, I'll come back to the next
No, I
meeting.
was just gonna
I'll
say,
be here.
please come back.
I'm not going to be paying $25 tickets.
Not the
Yeah,
problem.
let us know.
Come back, every
Yeah.
meeting.
No,
I'd
we'll-
appreciate if someone looked
Thank
into
you.
it, though.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Comments, questions? Go ahead, you could speak, yeah, at this time you could speak.
I know, I'm sorry. The budget, sounds like it's a very, very tedious thing, very tedious subject when it comes around here. And it's a very sensitive thing I can understand. I can't understand, I'm not a taxpayer. I'm not old enough to pay taxes. But, all I know is, that I hope you guys get this solved and, that you make a plan that, because from what I've heard from the meetings that I've been to, that last year was a horrible year, or taxes or something, I don't know. You can correct me on that, but I'm just asking you that, thanking you and commending you if you are doing something about that. I'd also like to commend, I'm sorry, I didn't get your name, that's my fault. For coming up here, it seemed very, you were almost under pressure, and I'd like to commend you for coming to this meeting. Mr. Mayor, earlier, you said people were badgering you, and I'm not against you. I'm just gonna make the comment that being mayor, nobody's gonna roll the red carpet for you, throw flowers at you, and say we love you all the time. Some people are gonna be a little unhappy with you, and getting a little angry and telling the people, almost not to ramble or not to. It's a little inappropriate. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, if I was mayor, I'm not, but I don't think, again, these people are going to, in the future, if you run for mayor again, will either vote for you or will not vote for you, and all of your actions, I'm not saying, that doesn't mean go around and try to get everybody helpful that kind of, yeah, if you understand what I mean.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much. Any other comments from junior counsel? Go ahead.
I
Shoot.
actually have one regarding some of the complaints that we used to have with the solicitor. I know I haven't been here long, but from when I was here, I do remember council persons complaining about not having a solicitor, having issues if something were to go wrong. And from what I saw tonight, that we finally have the solicitor here, which is great. And we did get a statement from the solicitor on his legal advice regarding a matter. But quite frankly, we went against that matter, some of us. And I just don't understand that if we want him here so much, and if his opinion's so important to this council and what they mean to us, that why would we go against his opinion if he is what protects us from
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments? Comments from the mayor, administration? Go ahead. Mayor?
You want to talk? I had if I could, I would like to comment, if I could, about some of the cuts that were made to the management group or salary, and just want to comment on some of those folks that, I'm not talking about myself, but the people in management do not receive overtime pay if they work beyond the normal workday. There are some people in the city that probably, if you look at their pay statements, probably make as much in overtime from various sources as some of the people who you're looking at cutting their pay. And I would ask that maybe with some of those that you might reconsider that. It's not a substantial amount of money, but I know in the administration office, there are people that work in there and they work till the job is done.
So you're saying people work overtime? Many?
People in that group that you're cutting their pay work overtime and do not get paid for that because they're here to do a job.
When do they do it?
Today, for instance, the two of the office folks, three of them actually, were there till probably 45 minutes beyond their workday to be able to collect numbers for pension numbers that were sent to you because they were asked for by you. We put,
okay, Steve.
But I'm just asking.
Those pension, I don't know. The only number I wanted, you gave valuations and pension statements, and if you would have called me to clarify, I only wanted the total amount of pension that is allocated per person, which all you'd have to do is add up the number and divide it by each category. It was a simple...
And that was done...
And that would take me 2 minutes.
But that was
done... And on a spreadsheet, it would take me 30 seconds.
That was done in...
So if you're saying all this work was created because of me, all I wanted was a number and a spreadsheet that I even gave you the spreadsheet. All I wanted was the benefits, the wages and benefits number. Keith gets that. Don't you get that in your pay?
Yeah.
You get your benefit statement. That's what I wanted.
And that was sent to you today.
Okay, for 12 or 13 or 14 or 13 and 14?
For the 14 budget, it was added into that.
The pension too?
Column, yes. That's what we did.
An amount
anyway, I
allocated.
was using that as an example, but there are many, many, many times that the office staff, people, very much to their credit, stays until the work is complete. And I'm just asking if that could be reconsidered. Their pay is now being cut, and again, there are people in the city that probably make as much money in overtime that is not controlled. They make as much in overtime from various programs as some of these people who are looking at their pay. The three fire individuals or other folks that work on a salary. They do not get paid overtime. Any of their workers come in, they get paid time and a half, but they are called in. That's part of their job, and that's expected. But again, it's something that it just seems that there's some inequity that may be applied in the city on that, and would ask that maybe some of that be reconsidered.
Okay.
And it would be important, I don't know how I could get that, but just some kind of a list a specific list of what things are being cut and what changes were made to the budget. It was
We'll get that for you, Steve.
It was very hard to follow.
We'll get that. We'll help you with that. We'll help you do the budget. Anything else?
The only thing I have is this budget here is probably not accurate. It's probably not balanced.
Well, we're going to make it balanced.
You're going to make it. You voted on it, Jack. You got to make it, then vote on it.
We could fix
You
it.
can't vote on it and then make it. It's backwards.
Well, last year we didn't even have a budget. I didn't even know what budget we had. We had 18 budgets.
We had a budget last year. We got a January.
We had about 10, 12 versions
Yeah.
of a budget till we didn't even know what one we were voting on by the time we voted.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions or comments, Mayor?
No.
Thank you for coming. Comments from council? Keith?
Thank everyone for being here tonight and sitting through it. That's it. I have a test at 8 o'clock in the morning, so everybody have a good night.
Okay, Jeff, thank you.
Okay, well, I want to thank the people for coming. Thank junior council here for getting involved. I do have one caller from a lady about the bench at Memorial Park. She said she's been calling
That's what I
for
was just gonna bring up.
a while that she would like to replace. But other than that, I mean, I know we're trying to identify all the problems with the budget and try to get it most accurate we can. The first reading, we have it, we'll plug in my ideas. I didn't know about some of their ideas. We'll plug them in and we'll see what the differences are and have them worked out. But I didn't know about every amendment that everybody else wanted to make, so there was no way that we could have the exact figures to balance out right now. So I'll work on this and figure out what the differences are, and that's it. Oh,
Thank you.
I want to thank whoever got us the chairs.
Okay. Anonymous donor. Go ahead. Go ahead.
First of all, thank you, Junior Council, for your comments tonight. I think they're very important. And I think sometimes we, sitting here at these tables, tend to forget what it is that we as the adults are supposed to be acting. And I think it's all of us here, okay? At the table, at everybody, in the audience, the whole bit. But having said that, I got to tell you that this budget so far has been in agony, and I think if everybody, from Mr. Cassett to myself to Mr. Monday to Ms. Mope to Mr. Bast, if we took $1 for every hour that we spent trying to take care of and analyze and try to put together a budget that's workable, we probably would have enough money to be able to not only balance the budget, but go well beyond that. There have been meetings in the mayor's office to deal with the budget. I never saw till tonight some of that long list of, and that was a litany of changes that Mr. Cassett offered. I took a look at cuts that I thought should be made, and if you want the truth, most of those didn't make it tonight. But the fact of the matter is that that's okay. There's a give and take, and we've got to deal with this. The taxpayers of this town deserve a budget that is workable, that we can live with. The taxpayers of this town, I got to tell you, the gentleman this afternoon not only talked to me about the jet, but he said, look, I'm a man who is on a semi-fixed income. We've got to look at taxes. We've got to keep things in order. We've been hearing so many people talk about trying to live within our means, and I applaud the administration for coming in the black this year. I applaud you. But the fact of the matter is that was not what was being said in December. Now, we do have money left over, evidently, in fund balances. Well, now it's time to take some of that and to use that. It's time to use some of what we have and cut where we can, and we've got to tighten our belts. We've got to tighten our belts. I'm sorry, government has to do that. And we've all got to do that to some degree. It's not easy. But I think with the give and take that's been going on here tonight, I would hope that our taxpayers out there at least know that we're trying to fight as hard as we can to see to it that you guys get the services, but also get them at a price that we can all afford in this town. So I hope that we're accomplishing that. We've got another reading or two to go on this. Not everybody's going to be happy. There's not going to be 5 people on this board that's going to be happy, let alone, I'm sure, with the administration and our director of administration or anybody. But hopefully, when it's all said and done, we'll have enough and the cuts and the work that you guys can be satisfied with what we do and how we've accomplished it. And that's what our main job here is, period. And I'll throw the period in.
Thank you. Jeannie, go ahead.
Number one, thank you for coming. And any apologies that are owed, I give them. I'm under the weather. I've been dealing with the stomach virus for a few days now. So I haven't been in the best of moods, let's just say. But thank you so much for coming. I always appreciate your input. One of the things we tried to do was reduce the taxes, because we know that the people are down to the bare bone. The well is dry, and their belt is pulled to their backbone. We don't like having to do the jobs that we did and having to make cuts where we have to, but as Mr. Sosar said, sometimes we have to do these things without any choice. It's us stepping up to the plate right now and doing what we need to do. I know the people are in a predicament right now. We don't want to cause them any more burdens. Right now, they're dealing with high bills from fuel for the winter that we've had. It's been a severe winter. They have a lot of things on their plate, let alone mortgages, and we don't want to see them lose their homes. So we're trying to help you out as best as we can with this budget. All due respect to the mayor for coming. I appreciate the fact that you were here tonight. Even though we go back and forth a bit, you know, people think that that's bad, but really it isn't. If we didn't go back and forth, we wouldn't know what was on his mind. He wouldn't know what was on our mind. And we get things out in the air. And it's called an open discussion or a debate. And sometimes they get pretty heated, but that's part of it. Without that, we would be just sitting here saying yes, 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 or he would be sitting here saying yes, yes. All right? Doesn't work that way. He's fighting what he believes in. We're fighting for what we believe in, or what I believe in. I can't speak for the others. I appreciate the fact that Chris Lesser was here tonight, Mr. Hahn was here tonight, explained what he needed to do, and I appreciate the fact that we have Charlie. As I said, 2 heads are better than 1. They may be able to collaborate and come up with an idea that either one of them didn't realize, oh, this is where I need to look in the law. And maybe Charlie can help Chris, and Chris can help Charlie. I don't like having to pay 2 solicitors, but as I said, because we have Charlie here, and no offense to you, Chris, it's nothing personal or anything, we are now able to have the ability of having Chris here. And I like them both. I think they're both terrific. And I think they're both beneficial to us. I'm going to cut it short. I just want to give my apologies. And I want to say to Dominic, please understand, my concern is the expense of it, all right? I'm not saying I'm not going to vote for it. It might be absolutely wonderful for the city. It might be what the city needs. But I want to make sure that I look into every aspect so that we're not stuck down the line with something that we didn't anticipate. That's all. Okay? Thank you for coming.
I just want to thank everybody for coming. I think Dr. Sosar and Jeff and Jeannie and Keith said what they had to say, and I'll make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Me too. You don't know. Huh? No, I just write. I don't know shorthand.
Have a cup of tea.
Judy, very good. You did very good.
Horrible.
You did very good. You held your own against
My
them.
thumb is bleeding.
No, you did great. He thinks that, you know what, Judy? He thinks that anybody disagrees with him is against them, like with me. 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 against them like with me, 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 against them like with me,